What's happening, weirdos? I am so glad you are here for the hilarious Jay Jurden. I love Jay. He is so funny. Where have you seen Jay? You've seen him on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. He's been on James Corden. In fact, we were on Corden the same time, which is how I first saw him. And he absolutely murdered. He's also been on HBO, Comedy Central, Apple TV. He's got an album called Jay Jurden, y'all. And also follow him on social media. It's just his name, Jurden. Jurden. Jay Jurden. He's so funny, and I loved this conversation, and I'm so glad y'all are here. Only a couple things to plug up top for me. It's my tour. I am going to be in LA this Saturday on June 28th, followed by Houston. We're rescheduling Michigan. I'm sorry, Royal Oak. We are moving that, but that will be rescheduled. Los Angeles is after that. DC, Boston, Massachusetts, Portsmouth, New Hampshire, Spokane, Washington, St. Louis, Cleveland, Chicago, Pennsylvania, and Atlantic City, and we'll be adding New York City on there as well. All of those are available on PeteHolmes.com. So glad you're here. I loved this chat. Jay Jurden, y'all, indeed. Get into it.
I like these.
Right?
I really love these. There's a new, so I want to say North Face and Paraboot. Maybe it's North Face. I don't know. Maybe it's J. Crew.
Can we please roll on this?
There's a new. You're on trend.
I am.
You're on trend.
We need to roll it.
And sort of taking a big swing.
Is that right?
Yes. So this style of shoe, this sort of like quilted moccasin.
Yeah.
It became really cool over the past 2 years.
Is that right?
Yeah. So North Face came out with one. Paraboot has a collab. So this is
Teva.
Okay. So Teva and any sort of Gorp core utility.
Gorp core?
Gorp core.
Good old raisins and peanuts core? Is that what that means?
No, Gorp core now has been adopted by a bit of streetwear kind of aesthetic people, where everyone who's obsessed with Arc'teryx and obsessed with like anything Gore-Tex and water resistant, very Pacific Northwest kind of feel and outdoor kind of faux utility, it became super popular.
Yes.
So right now,
This is not the first time fashion has co-opted like carpenter pants or like, all right. See?
I ain't got no hammer.
That's right.
And then
there was one that had the big patch.
double knees.
The double knees.
The reinforced knees.
Well, wasn't that called like minor pants?
Well, there's like a painter pant, then there's like a minor pant. Yeah. And then like if they're very tiny, like they're minor pants. But then...
But everything at Gap Kids are minor pants. That's all we have is minor pants.
But there is this beautiful sort of like event horizon that happens with what I kind of just call unassuming white guys and fashion. And they go, wait a second. I got 2 minutes.
I'm here for this, by the way. That's it. This is strictly fashion.
Yes.
Not fashion. I'm sorry. Function. This is strictly function.
But
my wife, who you will meet on the way out, she got a pair. I also have them in yellow, and I want to know what you feel.
No, we like a big swing.
It's okay.
We like a pop of color.
Okay.
We like a big swing. There's so Viola Davis, every now and then she wears yellow on the red carpet, and because she's such a beautifully melanated, dark-skinned black woman, yellow on her. Every comment is always like, it's crazy how she invented the color yellow.
Yes.
Because she looks so stunning in it.
Yes.
And every time anyone a little bit paler than Viola Davis even tries to wear yellow on the red carpet, everyone goes, you look sick.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. I was shooting this movie with a lot of East Asian, so like Indian, Pakistani, and the way that this, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I was looking at the way golden brown, you're like, it'll give you the chills.
Yeah.
You're like, that's just right.
Well,
it just looks better.
But I
don't want to say it looks better. That's pejorative. But you know what I'm saying. I was appreciating how good it looked.
There's a fun kind of like play. But white guys with blue eyes, they get the blue shirt. And every time,
that's our move.
That's
our
the move.
One move.
That's the move.
That's our move.
And you kind of just like look at people like Basilisk and try to like make sure they know. You go, look, you see what's going on? You don't get to blink for the whole time.
That's our little tiny effort. I love that you just are leaning into that's why I said I'm here for it. Basic kind of white guy.
But that's what you want.
I want this.
I want like any kind of unassuming older white guy to have like a happy fashion accident.
Yes.
Like that sort of like workwear came back, not being as kind of stuffy and pretentious came back.
Yes.
There's a lot of things that like anyone now kind of over the age of 40, if you go, oh, this is my favorite shirt, people go, well, you look great in it. Yeah. And because there's like a lived in kind of worn feel, it makes it fashion now.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I have another pair of shoes that are real ugly. Real ugly. And my wife actually, dude, she forbid me. Like, she didn't forbid me. Yeah. She very playfully was like, I think you need to stop. And then somebody was like, that's actually very in right now. And then I was like, really? And they go, ugly shoes are in. Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. I don't know if I want to be in this line.
It is.
You know what I mean? I think this might be a mistake.
I mean, the thing that it's close to maybe last summer, and this happens when I guess people are trying to find ways to compliment non-conventionally attractive leading men in Hollywood. Yes. Now, do you remember what happened? So last summer, there was an entire write-up about Brat Summer, but a little bit before that, there was Rat Summer. So every leading man they were like, these guys kind of look like rats.
Oh my God, I'm going to need some Zams.
Timothy Chalamet, Mike Faced, who was in Challengers, Josh O'Connor, who was also in Challengers, and Paul Mescal. They were saying that these men, while handsome, there is a mouse-like...
But it turns out you don't want straight handsome. I don't mean straight handsome.
No, but you do.
Straight handsome.
Yeah.
You do want straight handsome, but I mean, like middle of the bullseye.
Yeah.
You want interesting. Ryan Gosling is kind of, he's my favorite. I mean, he's on the wall. He's kind of, I don't know how to say it.
You can
Left
say
of
it.
Center is what I'll say. I was going to say odd, but by odd, I mean, why am I can't stop looking at it.
I'm going to say
Tell
me. There's an avian quality to his face a little bit. A little bird.
Bird face.
And that is striking. It inspires like leadership qualities.
People go out into Prospect Park with binoculars to look at birds. And then it turns out Hollywood's the same. We're like, look at that bird.
Yeah. They go, wait a second. Yeah, there's one.
We love birds. You want an avian quality. And Adam Driver, of course, looks like a Siamese cat.
Yes.
Sort of.
Yes.
But remember, I'm older than you. I think I'm older. I mean,
barely.
Is that right?
Know? Yeah.
I just assume
you
have so much energy.
You'll never know.
When I watch you stand up, dude, for real, I'm like, yes, I love it. And it's a Gatling gun. That's what feels youthful about it to me. Is like, obviously you're having fun, but you're also like, I'm not tired. I'm not like, I can think of more jokes.
Yeah. Or I have a tendency to overwrite. Like, I'll talk to Matthew Broussard, and he and I both have this kind of like tendency to be like, tag this. Okay, actually, basically, we'll go, this is the line, and kind of the Jay Leno quality of like, I've overwritten this, and now let me scale it back to a peak laugh. Yeah. But I have more if you ever want it.
I love that. Scale it back. Like landscaping.
Yeah, truly.
Let's let it overgrow. But too many, look, I say this all the time on the podcast when we talk about stand-up. Most specials I watch and I go, that's it. I'll even watch that on myself.
Yeah.
That's my main criticism on myself is I'm like, you brought us into this room. That's the premise. And all you did was pick this up and then put it back down. And then we left the room. And when I watch you, I'm like, oh, this dude... You figured it out.
That means so much to me from a theater background, but then also like, and this is the first time anyone knows about this. So you're part of the reason I started stand-up in New York City.
No way.
So I started stand-up around the same time as Crashing, and there were multiple instances where I was doing mics at the Grizzly Pear. Y'all just shot a couple scenes at the Grizzly Pear. I was going up doing mics. You were going up in the series doing mics. I wasn't at the Cellar yet. I saw your Cellar audition.
Wait, you were there when we taped it?
No, I wasn't there.
Real one.
No, the one in the one in the show.
The one in the show.
The one in the show. I was doing NACA right after you did NACA.
No way.
I got a bunch of college gigs when you did the college gigs. I eventually did warm up for a show I was writing for. I did warm up when I was writing on the Prom
and now you're on Daily
Jon
Show.
Stewart.
Right.
No, I was on the Prom with Jon Stewart on Apple TV Plus, and I did warm up there after seeing you kind of do warm up. There were all these like little fun moments. And so you as a character on Crashing, and then also as a comedian. So it was so funny because then I was like, oh my God. And like you also loved X-Men. So there were all these moments where I was like, if I ever get the chance to tell Pete this. So then when I did Corden and we met, I was like, I hope he enjoys it.
And you had an amazing
Thank
set.
you.
You're really good at late night. And I think It's like one of those hard things to talk about, meaning I don't get a lot of opportunities to talk about it because not a lot of people are really good at late night. It's like a weird skill to do 5 or whatever it is, 6 minutes on late night. The pressure is so high. I didn't say this, obviously, but I'm like feeling for you. I think I was doing panel.
Yeah, you're doing panel. You got to do the couch. You got to have fun.
I almost went, girl. It's true.
That's true, though. That is true,
it's
though.
True. You graduate, meaning when you do it, you don't even think about it.
Oh, my God.
You don't even worry about it.
Because on the couch, it's so I've done late night 4 different times now.
You've done Fallon.
Yeah, I did Fallon 3 times. I did Corden. Yeah. And the craziest part is on the couch, so many of the rules, specifically from standards and practices, go out of the window. Yeah. Because they just do not care. Jimmy Fallon, when I was on Fallon, he was asking Theo James about his dick on White Lotus. And I was like, what?
That's right.
Y'all made me cut my lesbian joke, but you're asking Theo James about his cock scene?
I don't remember a cock scene in White Lotus.
Well, okay, so not this past one, the previous one.
I remember balls in the first scene.
Yes.
And they always do fake balls.
Yeah.
Can I get a take on this?
Yeah.
I'm gonna chime in first.
Yeah.
Show me the real balls.
Yeah.
Just show me real balls. It's always fake balls. Balls are a little weird.
You had real dick on your show.
We had real dick on our show. We had real dick. And you know what we got shit for? People were like, show a vagina. Like that's what people were like, oh, okay, show a vagina. Like women were like, we want equal representation. I was like, okay.
They literally said, us too.
Us too, please.
Us too. Not me
show
too,
a labia.
but us too.
And like not like a, Playboy centerfold labia. We want like a, this is it.
Like a real
one.
Kind of like uneven a little bit.
We want it to look like it just got out of the rain. Like it got smeared by a magical gnome and ran away and it's not there anymore.
I was of the True Blood. I was in late college, maybe early grad school whenever True Blood was popping off.
Yeah.
And I legitimately thought there was a mandate from the higher ups at HBO that for every pair of tits they showed, they had to show one dick or like a guy's butt. Because True Blood was so bisexual and so balanced.
It was
They'd be
the
like,
bisexual
here's
show.
some tits.
Yeah.
Here's some guys.
Yeah.
Here's some tits. Here's some guys.
That's right. We want it all for
vampires.
True Blood. Yeah. Empires?
Vampires.
Vampires.
Vampires are very bisexual because everyone has blood.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the neck.
The neck.
Biting.
The neck.
I watched the Pee-wee documentary. Did you watch that?
No, but I've heard nothing but good, beautiful things about it.
It's really good.
And all of my friends, this happens. Pete, this happens with every gay documentary. All of gay Twitter and all of gay Instagram goes, by the way, Paul Rubens, what's up?
Yeah, no, he looked good.
He looked really good. The day?
He was dreamy.
They go, I'm trying to get in that playhouse.
Yeah,
what's up?
We're going to do some stuff on Cherry?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know.
That's what the magic word
I want to be
Cherry.
Yeah, there you go. Sit on my face. Yeah, I'm jealous of Cherry sitting on her face.
God, yeah.
Yeah, he looked dreamy.
Yeah.
But that also goes back to Gosling and Adam Driver. He looks interesting.
Yeah.
I think you show him. You know where the exception is Denzel, because he's got that, he's perfect.
But Denzel
yet I like looking
still
at him.
has, at the time, Denzel was like young and kind of hot-headed. So there's an element of danger that takes away. You can't be that perfect and sweet.
Nope.
You kind of have to, like,
Wild.
Liev Schreiber does like a very animalistic sort of like, that's a man.
Yes.
He's hot, but he's kind of scary.
Yeah, scary.
John Bernthal, perfect, except for his nose is a little...
Because it looks like he got in a fight.
So that's why everyone's like, please punish me. Please.
No, absolutely. John Barenthal, Val and I, we love John Barenthal. And Val noticed that every scene he does, not every scene, a lot of times, and this is probably typecasting. Yeah. It's not like he's whatever. I'm just making sure he doesn't think I'm dragging him here. He does scenes where he's giving very, very high stakes news, but he's being very casual about it. So he's eating pizza and he's like, "You like Hawaiian pizza?" "Yeah, Hawaiian pizza is pretty good. Listen, there are 2 snipers over there, and they're trained on you right now, and they're gonna spill your blood all over the salad bar. Do you want something at the salad bar?" And he starts getting croutons, and you're like, "That's what you want." He's cool, easy, calm, high stakes, but eating pizza. It's Brad Pitt eating, always eating.
I even think he has occupied a new role. Now he's always really dreamy but dead brother or ex-boyfriend. Like in The Bear,
he's dead.
Because he's dead, he's this is sad. He's so much hotter because he's dead and everything's
I know
a
Dead Hot.
flashback.
I
and
know
I go,
Dead Hot.
Oh my God, we don't have
Dead
it
Hot.
anymore.
We got Dead Hot.
I need it.
It's like when paintings become more
Yes.
valuable after
Yes.
you're dead.
Yes.
So does that ass.
Yeah.
Dead Hot.
Not here anymore.
Dead Hot.
It's the ephemeral state of
Yes.
this whole thing that
Look,
we're doing.
I'm thinking of some real life examples. I'm not going to say a
Yeah.
single one of them.
Okay,
But
I
I
will.
know you will.
Yeah,
Dead
I will.
Hot.
Like any porn performer from
Ooh.
the 80s and 90s, when I look at that kind of like very 70s,
Yeah.
like early 80s porn,
yeah.
the fact that so many of them aren't here anymore or don't look like that anymore,
Yeah.
it's a time capsule and
I
it's
agree.
hot.
I know what you're talking about. It's not my thing. I would tell you if it was.
Yeah.
But sometimes you see really old porn.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know,
Are you
black
talking about
and
like
white.
on urns?
Yeah,
How
on
old?
an urn. Yeah, you know, you go to Pompeii and you see some shit. Can you imagine if you looked at a like a ancient Greek
Yeah.
vase and you were like, you took it to the bathroom?
Hey, confession.
No!
Growing up and figuring out what was gonna be my sexuality, every now and then the History Channel would
Yeah.
have a series called The History of Sex.
Okay.
And they would get away with showing some. They would show some bawdy stuff.
Because of history.
So the titties were never censored. The penis etchings and the penis drawings were never censored. The butts,
Yes.
never censored.
I remember being a kid and drawing shit because
Yeah.
I was so desperate. I was like, taking a guess. My boobs didn't even have nipples. I'd never seen one. I was like, I don't know. There you go. It's something like that.
Some of the first things that I remember being like, oh, that's naughty. They're like, and this kind of gets to shared interest. So because of the pulp nature of American comics from the 50s, 60s into the 70s and 80s,
Yes.
a lot of Marvel art and DC art
Yes.
was so sexual. Oh my God. You look at the old Miss Marvel suit, the Warbird suit,
Yeah.
Warbird suit that's just
It's
like
erotic.
a tiny one.
It's like
piece
Borat.
That is like just
Yep.
right down the middle.
Yep. If
And you go,
saw-
she's fighting crime in that.
That's why Comic-Con is still, I'm like,
Oh yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I go like, I can't.
Well,
It's too much.
And because the people that cosplay, their dedication to cosplay is
Yes.
that they go, well, I have to look like this. And you go, okay.
I was actually thinking about you this morning because I'm like, okay, I bet we're going to talk about, I love talking about like,
Yes.
I don't know, on a queer culture or whatever you want to
Yeah.
say, sexuality, sexual identity. And my daughter put a bracelet on me and I liked it. And I was like, oh, I'm going to ask Jay, I was like, how much do straight, when I say normal, I mean like basic. Boring.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. I don't mean normal, I mean boring. Just sort of like Cracker Barrel straight guys love having daughters because like my girl will put something kind of like, and it's fun.
There's
I'm
a
sparkling.
sense-
I got to sparkle now.
There's
like,
a
she'll
sense
do
of
that.
play and
And it's
joy and
play.
whimsy, and that is robbed from a lot of straight.
That's what I'm saying.
Hetero,
You're
like,
hearing me, yep.
super traditional men. Any sort of sparkle is robbed.
Yes.
Anything that's like saturated. The fact that y'all got to take like blue, like highlighter blue back is like
Yeah.
a big deal.
No,
'Cause-
and pink.
yeah, pink.
I remember when pink was a big no-no. And to
Pink-
quote Gary Goldman, I grew up in Boston where Sprite was considered to be homosexual. Sprite. If you drank Sprite, this is Gary Goldman. He was like, I grew up in Boston too. If you drank Sprite, there was something was wrong with that boy.
God, that's funny.
Sprite.
Yeah.
You gotta drink a
It's too
caffeinated.
zippy. Yeah.
It's too zippy. It's fruity. It's literally fruity.
Sprite? Okay, are you a tiny magical creature?
Yeah.
Are you a Sprite?
That's
Yeah.
right. It's a
Sprightly?
Sprite.
Yeah.
It's a Sprightly. It's lemons and limes. It's two fruits together. Oh no, I'm not even trying to
That's
make
not
that
the way
fun.
God intended. No.
Adam and Eve, not lemons and limes.
But no,
7-Up is straighter.
Yes,
7-Up is straighter.
Up yours.
Seven-
Make 7-Up yours.
Yeah, it's aggressive.
Yeah.
7-Up.
The guy, the 7-Up like character was like that little
Spot.
red spot with the sunglasses.
And he had a video
kind
game.
of an asshole.
That's right. He was an asshole.
Oh, he did have a video game.
He had a video
That
game
brings
on
me
the
back.
Genesis.
I remember that video game.
Yeah.
That was hard.
It was a hard game.
That's back when video games. Now video games are hard, but they're expansive and they're RPGs. Video games used to be so hard. You'd be like, I'm on level 2. It's just a map. It just goes this way.
Yep.
It's tough.
You're on a voyage.
You'd go.
You'd call a friend if you beat it. You'd call a friend because it was like a trauma.
And then you'd find out now in 2025, Pete Holmes, we were finding out they'd be like, well, actually, you have to play this part backwards.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. That's right.
What?
And I watched.
You were
those
playing
YouTubes.
parts backwards in the 90s. I couldn't.
Yeah. I remember this. Zelda 2.
Yes.
Impossible.
Yeah.
Impossible.
There were moments on Crash Bandicoot where I was like, well,
Crash Bandicoot was unfair.
Like, in Cortex, he wins. Okay.
I'm telling you,
I don't got enough Wampa fruit. Okay. I need an Aku mask.
You knew the fruit.
I know the fruit. Crash Bandicoot, a sexy shirtless Australian. You think I wasn't locked in?
Oh my God. Well, that brings it. Mad Magazine used to be really erotic to me. That's what we were talking about.
Sexy comic book, sexy magazines.
Let's put a pin in that. We won't forget that. I was going to say, you can tell video games and just life in general. We've seen look, I'm not saying things aren't horrible everywhere and difficult everywhere, but there is one line that's kind of going up. Comfort, ease.
Yeah.
The internet has made things smoother.
Yeah.
And video games used to be, what I'm saying is modern video games, they have it's like a distress threshold. Like that's one of the metrics.
Yeah.
Is it colorful enough? Is it fun enough? Is it hard but not too hard? Like they're measuring it and they'll fix it.
But
then you watch
now-
like Krusty the Clown video game where you're getting the rats to leave the funhouse and you're like, this is death.
Yes.
This is death. And nobody tested it.
They talk about like the Lion King video game, the Aladdin video game, a lot of the early Sonic video games, Toomba. There are all these video games that now there's a sense of verisimilitude. They go, oh, this is so real. Red Dead Redemption. Oh, this is so real. All the God of War games now are just so real and realistic.
Yeah.
And fucking Assassin's Creed. But the games to us, when the stakes were not that high, harder games.
They didn't care because arcade started. It was supposed to be hard to make you pay more. So then they start adapting them to the home console. But now home console is like, we actually want them to be engaged longer, not challenged so they keep playing. We just make the game longer. But that also, you could break it down to like memory. Yeah. Like the game couldn't be that big.
Because now they can store it infinitely up there in the cloud or wherever.
Right. That's right.
To me, it was the craziest thing. I was getting my nephew and my niece like presents for Christmas. And so many video games. This is the first, I think it was maybe 2 years ago. They're like, no, you're going to buy this thing that's all of the information online for you to get the game. And I was like, but I was such a very millennial. I said, but where's the disc?
Yeah.
Went, it's not in
Where's
here.
the instructions?
They said, there's not a disc in here.
I remember that feeling in the morning of like the art.
Yes.
Where's the art?
Yeah. Where is it? I want something on the disc that I can put in to the PS2.
Yeah. My brother's still that way. He's a physical media guy. He wants it.
I just went to a bookstore and it was beautiful to see CDs and vinyls and old magazines.
Yep.
And so that was like kind of like, oh, okay. I see why people harp on this.
Yeah. Objects, totems.
Yeah.
You have a thing.
Yeah.
Like when you said magazine, I was like, I had a Playboy magazine that I hid in the lining. You know how this has a lining?
Yeah.
I cut the lining and put it in between the springs in the lining. And like, if you
and Darren
saw
Bernthal
it,
was like, listen, so there are two snipers.
You're going to want to put it up there. You get the centerfold. Yeah, exactly. And if you saw the ritualized eroticism of me getting it out, it would be like, life is a mist. You know what I mean? It was very different from just typing in jiggling ass GIF and just being done. I was like, I'd like put an ear out, like, is everyone asleep?
Yeah.
You know, I close the door. I
put something in front of the door.
And it's exactly, of course. I'm putting like a cup on the hand on the doorknob. It'll fall off. I'm like an assassin. And it made it. I'm going to say something. I really want to see what you get off this.
Okay.
It made it hotter. It made it sexier.
Yes.
It made it
My
better.
argument in regards and connected to that is that's also why some people still love tan lines. Some people still love amateur stuff.
Yeah.
Some people love an unexpected, non-streamlined sort of like old school approach to eroticism and sexuality. That's why people are still looking at the classics.
Yep, the classics. I agree. I saw some AI. Like, it wasn't, I wouldn't necessarily call it full porn. It wasn't like a video, but it was an image that I saw online. And I was looking at it and I was like, this is weird. The computer is like going into our brain.
Yeah.
It has all of our data and it's like, you want this. And it was like, yeah, but also, I'm not even saying it was gross or repulsive or anything, but there was something I was like, when you watch it, like you said, I think we might be having similar experiences. Like, these people are dead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's a very human, like, when I was saying the old porn, I was like, these women are in nursing homes.
Yes.
Or they're gone.
Yes.
And they're almost like look at them. They're alive.
Yeah.
They're there. And that informed it.
That is the human experience.
Yeah.
I think if there's an allotted amount of time you get to kind of go through all of this, there is a beauty in the finite nature of that.
Yes.
And sometimes when everything becomes this series of ones and zeros, now anything can be put into an image and made to talk to you. So now, like, you can type in anything on the computer and you can see it and you kind of go, well, no, because sometimes I want to be surprised by what I'm seeing.
I think the most erotic thing is an unexpected. That's part of it.
Yeah.
It's like, you're just like, you didn't even know that was going to happen. I was walking down Vermont and I looked into, it's not the Dresden, but it's one of these clubs over here, and they have like a burlesque night. And this wasn't me peeping. It was just a window, and there were girls changing for the burlesque show, and I just saw a bunch of naked people, and I was like, I think that's the hottest thing that's ever happened to me, because I was just walking my dog and I'm like, like an erotic scream.
So my husband and I, when we go to Miami every now and then, and if you're in Miami and you watch this, maybe you'll see us.
Nice.
We go to the nude beach. It's the nude beach in Miami, Hollover Park. It is so beautiful because it is people who want to be naked, but because everyone's so used to like, oh, this is just kind of a flat image. I'm seeing a naked person on Twitter. I'm seeing a naked person on whatever website. When you see naked people in real life that you don't expect to see naked, it like triggers a bunch of middle school hormonal responses that aren't just like arousal, but also like, oh, we're naked. Are we supposed to? What? Everything.
It's exhilarating.
Yes.
Yeah.
It feels
like skiing.
alive.
It feels alive.
Yes.
Yeah.
I also think skiing is a trick we played on rich people for them to get injured. Because every rich person I know has almost died.
Of course.
They've really almost died for real.
It's like a repurposing.
It's crazy.
Robin Williams had a joke. He said cocaine is God's way of telling you have too much money. I would say skiing is also a sign that like you don't have enough danger in your life.
Yeah, because skiing is, I want to go downhill fast. And they go, trees? They go, I forgot about those.
Yeah.
Like,
you think you would stop.
Woo, right?
I'm white, but I'm not that kind of white.
That's why we get along. That is why we get along. I can tell the skiers.
I'm not ski white.
I can tell the skiers.
Yeah.
Because they'll say something and I'll go, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
there's just like there's a quality.
A person that skis, every now and then they'll use only as a qualifier about a certain amount of money, and I'll go, okay.
When they say like only 10 grand?
Yeah, I'll go, I heard it. I go, yeah, you think, okay, you can't sneak that one past me. I don't care how much hamachi crudo we share at this restaurant. What? I know that you have a lot. You got some money in your pocket.
That's a great observation. I remember Birbiglia told it when I was doing the show at Housing Works in New York. So this is before crashing or anything like that. So probably had about $300.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's a normal amount of money to have. Plus, you paid your rent. You got $300.
Yeah.
I'm watching Birbiglia, and I this is not putting Birbiglia down, but he told the story.
Put him down when the special just came out. Put him down.
Oh yeah, any press is good press.
Oh yeah,
check it out. But he does. He got in a car accident. It's a true story, and it was the other guy's fault. And then he was the guy who was drunk who T-boned him, asked for $10,000, and the story is really like a rock in a hard place. There's nothing they can do. And they go I think we just have to give the guy $10,000. And I'm in the crowd and all I'm thinking is, you have $10,000?
Yeah. You go, what?
I still go you have $10,000?
Yeah,
like if somebody says only $10,000
on you?
Yeah. I've hung out with some really rich people, and you'll see they pepper their language and their stories with these little flexes that they don't even acknowledge as flexes.
Oh, no.
They're just like, so we got every entree or whatever. It's just like, what? What was that?
It's when you, and as a comedian, like as you continue to like succeed and have more opportunities, like you kind of realize what numbers mean to certain people and like how people talk about it. But every now and then, even on the level that I'm at right now, you get humbled. You go to one apartment in New York City and you walk in and they go, oh, this is all of us. And you go, wait, so this floor is you?
Yeah. No, that's true. And that's what makes money and power such a drug. It becomes, again, I won't, well.
Talk about it.
I don't think I got to have dinner. I saw Rachel Ray's house and I was like, shit.
Yeah. You went, wait a second, you 30-minute meals in this?
Yes. Well, a line of olive oils. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're
exactly.
Just like, that's a brand. That's that's an empire.
And whenever you see your face in Ralph's like this.
That's right. Paul Newman was giving away a lot of money.
Yes.
He gave away a lot of money. Okay, so X-Men eroticism.
Yeah.
I think what is going on? Here's something I'm gonna put to you too. Like it's like culture's so confused.
Yes.
We're homophobic.
Yeah, a little.
Sure.
But we're homophobic because of a number of kind of like super Christian puritanical thoughts about sex being for procreation only, and queerness, specifically male on male queerness, is an aberration of that. I mean, the joke is like gay sex is so good, if it was allowed, nothing would get done. And then you go, that's not true. Look at Rome. They got a lot. They got a lot done. They killed Jesus. They got a lot done. Okay?
That was on their to-do?
That was,
Wow, we're productive.
They were like, oh, man, he's talking a lot. Okay. Prince of Peace, we hate peace.
So yeah, I've never heard that of gay
Vikings,
sex.
The Vikings had a bunch of gay sex.
And obviously, Pee-wee was on my mind.
Yes.
I was like, oh, that's right in our face. There's this magic trick that the queer community has been doing through all of known time.
We're sneaky. He just called us sneaky.
I'll say it.
Mm-hmm. Duplicitous. You can't trust him.
What I'm saying is the most, like, picture like a 1950s homophobe. That's like peak homophobia. Yeah. And that dude loves Little Richard.
Oh, loves Little Richard.
And then we love Elton John before he comes out. And then we
love Freddie Mercury.
That's what I'm saying.
People looked at Freddie Mercury and George Michael and went, just a man.
We can't stop.
I just love Liberace. That man.
Look, the list goes on and on and
but
on.
I think with Liberace and Little Richard specifically Liberace and Little Richard, the other thing that people enjoyed was that and this is to your point about gay people being a little tricky.
I didn't say that.
I have a bigger, Pete, I have an even bigger sort of like thing I'll get to. So gay people are tricky, and the way that straight audiences who are scared of homosexuality enjoy the trick is if the gay person is asked point blank, so are you still a bachelor? And they go, yes. They
love it.
An audience loves wait a minute.
We love it.
There's no way they would wink about that. There's no way. Little Richard would say things. He has these euphemisms that to me are still so funny because they're so Southern and so queer. He talked about being turned on by something, and he said, ooh, made my big toe shoot up in my boot. Made my big toe shoot up in my boot.
Looney Tunes level. Yes. Remember when Bugs Bunny would go brrrr, and I'm like, why is that funny? But it is. That's a big toe shooting up in his boot.
Well, and connected to the queerness and the camp of it all, and why audiences love that. I think, and you brought up Bugs Bunny, and it's connected to queerness. All of this is, if our roots right now are super puritanical Christian, there's something that kind of predates that is alive in a lot of like, I guess like multi-theistic religions. There's a trickster god. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of queer people get to occupy the role of the trickster.
Oh my gosh.
Bugs Bunny is a trickster. Loki is a trickster. Hermes was a trickster. Brer Rabbit is a trickster.
Yes.
So that leads to Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse both being tricksters. And queer people get to sort of be avatars for that through line to something that predates Christianity when we're Trickster. And so that devious, sort of duplicitous, secretive nature, it's scary because in Lucifer, it meant, oh, I'm plotting against God. But every Trickster deity is still connected to the way they look at the devil currently now. So like Pan had horns and goat legs. Yeah. Hermes tricked people. And so it's Anansi tricked people.
Pan can get it.
Yeah. From everyone. That's why they're called pansexuals.
That's it.
Yes, it's true.
Is it?
Yeah.
Shut up.
Pan was a horny goat god. He was a god of horniness. Pun woefully unintended, but like truly.
He was horny.
Yeah.
Well, he was horny.
Well, because Pan was like the patron god of satyrs, and satyrs were known for running around chasing nymphs. Like a satyr is
We're back to Sprite.
Yeah, we're back to sprites. Satyrs are satyrs are we'll pay Jeff and Dave Attell for that bump in mics we just did.
Oh, I know. I didn't know. I think we might predate.
Okay.
We might predate. I don't know.
There's a really funny nature to like being queer and being an aberrant and getting to do the things that straight audiences don't get to do. And that's why Little Richard and even like a little bit of Jerry Lee Lewis is there.
Yep. I was going to say Prince, obviously.
Prince. I think that... And
you're right. It was a... So mythology...
You get to dress in drag, but it's not drag. It's you fooling this dumb man. Yeah. It's Milton Berle in a dress.
Yeah.
It's there's so many elements. It's Eddie Murphy playing all the clumps.
Yeah.
It's both connected to queerness and connected to kind of sensible audiences going, well, what? No, what? You're not supposed to do that.
Right. But so mythology is like a collective dream. It's like the dream we all have. And you're right. I mean, obviously you're right, but like Brer Rabbit, I love that you pulled Brer Rabbit.
Yeah.
I haven't thought of Brer Rabbit in a minute. And like the coyote was the animal that's tricking, but moving the story forward. Helping the hero by being not helpful, not being straight is what I was going to say. Like they're trying to go on the path, and they knock them off the path, and they start going. I'm not even trying to be funny. They go queer. They go off. Yes. They go left or right, and now they're lost or whatever it might be. But it's actually not bad. It's necessary.
Yeah.
It's like holy disorder.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying being gay is disorder. I'm just saying
but it is.
We have like Prince, wink.
I think
Little Richard, wink.
Disordering and a queering of a narrative is the best way to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because so many people are kind of like, oh, well, why is America both repulsed and obsessed with this? Why do people love Divine in every John Waters film and then why did people love Ursula? And Ursula was based solely on Divine.
I know. And I actually was thinking about that recently. I was like, they could have done it.
Yeah.
They could have had a drag queen as Ursula, and that would have been pretty dope.
But we
maybe
got
a little
Melissa
too
McCarthy, which is just as fun.
I didn't see it, but I believe she did a great job. But that fascination, it's not benign, it's fascination. Pardon the interruption, weirdos. This is brought to us by one of our newest Pete's Picks, which has absolutely not only changed my life, but revolutionized my life, which is KINOBODY, the makers of some supplements that are truly transforming my energy levels, my willingness, my motivation to exercise, and my decisiveness. What am I talking about? I'm talking about testosterone. There was a study that found between 1987 and 2004, men's testosterone dropped about 1% per year. That means 30 to 40% lower testosterone than their grandfathers had in the 80s. I didn't even know that was a problem. I went to my doctor, they checked it, I was normal low. So I started taking KINOBODY Mojo, and I'm like, is everything testosterone? It is a huge, huge game changer. I've noticed I'm feeling way more motivated, way more driven, more creative. My workouts are longer and easier, and my energy is way up, including my blood flow. And wink, wink, everything that could possibly mean. That's why I think one of the reasons they call it Mojo. Testosterone is linked to dopamine, which is our motivational hormone. And dang, I am setting goals. I'm getting up earlier. And when I have something on my to-do to-do list. I'm full on Nike about it. I just do it. Mojo is the solution I didn't know I needed. It gives your body the vitamins and minerals it needs to produce testosterone naturally and lower cortisol, our stress hormone that gets your mojo back. I love all of KINOBODY's products, but especially Mojo. I love Shred, I love Nitro, and I love Kino Octane, which is their all-natural pre-workout that gives you energy and euphoric focus. Try any of their products. I swear by this company, they are legit. You can get 20% off at kinobody.com, KINOBODY.com with your first order when you use promo code WEIRD. That's 20% off at kinobody.com. We're also brought to us by our friends at LMNT. Speaking of working out, speaking of the hot summer months, healthy hydration is not just water, it is water and electrolytes. But so much of the 80s and 90s, an electrolyte drink meant a flat soda. LMNT is here to fix that. It floods every cell in your body with healthy hydration. What does that mean? It means sodium, it means potassium, and magnesium in the perfect dialed-in ratio to give you that boost, to flood you with hydration, to keep away fatigue, brain fog, cramps, and just make you feel fantastic. For years, I've been drinking LMNT before I do shows. I drink it first thing in the morning. It just jumpstarts my day. And now that we're doing all these hiking, beach days, workouts here in the hotter months, you need to get this in your life. Try their lemonade salt, which is available now through the summer. Their new flavor. It is unbelievable. Even if you've tried LMNT in the past before and it wasn't for you, lemonade salt is a game changer. So get healthy hydration into your life. Go to drinklmnt.com/weird and you will get a free sample pack of every flavor with any purchase. That's drinklmnt.com/weird. This brings me to another thing. So you brought up gay, specifically male homosexuality.
Yes.
And I for what it's worth,
yeah,
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I'm like, I see that stigma being stronger. Meaning, it's like the Schlitz gay, the SNL thing. You never saw in the way that female homosexuality, which is obviously kind of like a cleaned up, or whatever you want to say.
What
it's like
it's the fear.
It's the male fantasy version of that.
Yeah. So there's a long sort of history of in comedy too, the idea that like lesbianism is a bit easier to deal with than like guy on guy stuff. I think number one, there's the anatomical nature of like male penetrative sex that some people are just gonna always be like super like disoriented by, and because people don't respect women's bodies, they go, oh well, lesbians don't even have sex. They just kind of kiss,
rub up,
and you go where.
Right,
where they
right.
kissing.
Right. Just to throw this in, I remember being a kid, and one of my weird sex talks was my father was trying to help me understand how it feels aggressive.
Yeah.
He's like, he wasn't. My father was a great person. He wasn't saying anything untoward. He was just like, you might have to get over the fact that you're this humping, thrusting, penetrating thing, and you're kind of like, there is this sort of like, is this okay? I'm talking about straight shame, like coming to terms with just sexuality in general. Yeah. It's very like everybody poops. Yeah. Things coming out, things going in. This is tricky for us.
It's scary because there are these kind of like markers that happen when you're a boy going through puberty that you really cannot hide. I mean, there's a reason why everyone knows kind of like, come up to the class and solve this math problem. It's like, I can't right now.
My foot's asleep.
Yeah, I wish I could. I cannot.
If people even knew just how... I'm going to say I was hard 70% of high school.
Right? No. Right?
It's just your body.
I can still remember I was a freshman. There was a senior girl. She wore first of all, the perfume she wore was, I want to say, Clinique Happy. Like, it's like that locked in. She wore a shirt one time. Yeah. Just a random ass shirt. It was like, this was 2003, like maybe 2002, tiny Midriff. Shirt. It was a shirt that was like, it barely passed wardrobe like inspection.
Standards, yeah.
She like kind of put her hands up and the shirt kind of came up. And at that point you're like,
forget it. It's so funny that you say that because I remember being in math class and there were girls that the style in the 90s, I guess, show the bra strap. And I was like, I like a cold sweat. Yeah. You're just like, no, just like, obviously this is way before I even had sex or even did anything, but it was just kind of like, what am I seeing? Yeah. And it's also, I think this is important to note, pre-porn.
Pre-porn.
I'm not looking at porn. I don't know really what a bra is.
But you're seeing a bra and you go, I know I'm not supposed to see bras, but I'm seeing one. That's right. Now. Me and my friend Patrick.
This goes back to life is a myth. It was more, it was like edging.
Yeah.
It was you know what I mean? I was like, that I saw a bra and thought about, this is going to sound absurd, but there are certain traditions where they'll teach you something profound. Yeah. It might be spiritual, it might just be wisdom about life, and they'll make you carve it into wood and carry it with you. So you're carrying a quote from Meister Eckhart, carved in wood with you, like the way they make teenager kids walk around with an egg. Yeah. You know what I mean? To learn the responsibility. So you have to like be like off put.
Yeah.
Like, what is the word? Inconvenience, I guess, by
inconvenience
holding this thing
by this thing that you're this burden.
And I had to like slowly eke out like carrying around bras. Yeah. And I just think on bras. Yeah. Like a Buddhist teacher would be like, bras, and I'd have like 3 years of just thinking about what a bra might be. That's really erotic. It's really erotic. Not only than just walking into the fun house.
And then you see a bra. And I remember my friend Patrick Roach and we got in trouble because we were snapping one of our classmates' bras. And we were both doing it in a way where we were like little 7th graders being annoying, but also we were horny. And like she told us to stop and we stopped. And then she was like, and then she turned around and was like, I bet you won't do it again. And we were like, oh my God, what are we supposed to do? That's the craziest thing ever. Of course, we can't conjugate these verbs. Yes. We're busy.
Yes.
It was insane.
It's very, very horny. I wonder what it's like now.
I'm beautifully horny because, and maybe it's because I have the ability to reflect, but it was like this very coming of age. Like I kind of go, oh, everyone did have like this weird movie of middle school that I think some people now get to portray. Like I saw Dee Dee, and that's such a beautiful example of that, like a film.
Is that a movie?
Yeah, it's a beautiful movie. It was so good. And then like a couple of other coming of age movies have done a very good job. There is this weird part of growing up where you go, is everyone else going through? Because I feel like I'm crazy right now.
Yeah. Crazy horny.
Yeah, not only just crazy horny, but like you said, like I'm thinking about bras, and sometimes I'm aroused, but sometimes I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
They're just like everywhere.
I know. Well, every week in youth group, I've said this a million times, they would ask for, it's so weird. This is also, I think, it feels kinky to me. It's just a group of guys sitting around being like, what are you struggling with? It's very... I'm telling you, it seems like erotic. It's like quiet, and it's like, what are you struggling? And you're like, lust. Okay. I'm like, what is this? The opening of a dirty movie? You know what I mean? Like it feels like that. And what I was saying was, and what makes it sort of sexual is there's like a thing that needs to be released, and no one's talking about it.
And there's a build up and tension.
There's tension and build up, but there was no release. I would just go. Lust, but I wouldn't say I can't stop jerking off. I wouldn't say I'm obsessed with bra. I would just be like lust. Whoa. And we never, when the youth group disbanded, we're seniors. I was like, you guys knew I meant jerking off, and they were like, but here's what's fucked up, dude. They weren't like, yeah, we were too. They were like, yeah, we assumed. They didn't say we are too, and I don't even know if they were. Which I look back and I'm like, that's crazy.
I think like the homosocial and somewhat kind of homosexual component homosocial, basically the idea that like men's like relationships with other men, maybe not in a sexual way, but like definitely
homoerotic. It doesn't necessarily mean sexual.
Not even homoerotic, just like being in the company of men, discussing manly things and discussing men's issues for so many people and for so many kind of like patriarchal societies throughout the history of the world. Those moments where it kind of veers into eroticism up until, I want to say like mid-century in America, people kind of went, yeah, you can jerk off with your boys. Here's why. We're all going to get married one day. This is just kind of what we all do. Yes. Don't worry about it. And so there was
like frat guys jerking off on a cookie, and I'm like,
Cookie, Limp Biscuit, yeah.
What's Limp Bizkit?
Limp Bizkit is the.
Sorry.
That's Limp Bizkit. Well,
sorry.
Yeah.
This is where I found out
Durst.
Alanis Morissette is something gross too.
No, but Limp Bizkit is the original name for Ookie Cookie. So Limp Bizkit is the UK version because biscuit means cookie.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Why limp though?
Yeah,
because it's all soggy.
Well, and because everyone
is dying.
Unless you're the last one, then you have to eat the cookie.
So not only you don't even get to have a finish, and you eat a cookie.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna say through the history of Limp Bizkit and Ookie Cookie, there's people throwing that game.
Yeah.
There's some shoeless Joe shoeless Joe jack off. He's not even trying.
Man,
He's not even trying.
Hey, I think you just like this. No, I hate it.
No. And respect. That's what we're saying.
Shoeless Joe Jagoff.
Shoeless Joe Jagoff.
That's funny.
Shoeless Joe Jagoff.
He's very good at that.
No, come on. I'm going to say if one of us does it, you can have it.
Oh my God, that is funny. That's one of the, okay, but that's also one of those stories that people go, oh, why were frat guys doing the elephant walk? Why does everyone have to be naked?
Right.
Why do we have these both like kind of kinky humiliation rituals?
Yes.
And I think it's because you have to be forged by the fire of proof that you'll go through all of this gay shit and still follow the rules, marry a woman, have a kid, preferably a son, who can work at the business that you got from your dad.
Yeah, that's right.
So there is
you can go into the fire and come back.
Yes. You will be unchanged.
You won't be tricked by the coyote.
You won't be tricked by the gay ass coyote.
But you're not scared of him.
Yeah.
You'll fuck that coyote.
Yeah, you'll fuck that coyote.
And you'll let that coyote
home.
fuck you.
But that is part of it.
I agree.
I think that's something that a lot of guys. I have a joke where I say the word it can come out of your mouth as many times as it has gone in it. So if you were in a frat, you can say it. And to me. It's like a quarter in the pinball. Yeah,
now you can play. Yes. Now you can play.
And some of the guys have a string attached to their quarter, and they go. But to me, the girls laughing at that joke laugh because they go, how incredulous and silly and ridiculous is this?
Yeah.
And a lot of the boys laugh at that joke because they go, that's crazy.
Interesting.
That's wild.
Right. That's fascinating.
So many people think that when we kind of joke about these experiences, they kind of go, oh, Pete and Jay, they're being a bit hyperbolic when they talk about how horny they were as teen boys. And I go, no.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Like the only reason I knew how to jerk off, one of my friends in 5th grade gathered us. Benjamin Orlansky. I'll say your name.
Oh, Benjamin Orlansky.
Yeah,
sounds like a sports team.
Listen,
the
he's
Orlanskys
wonderful.
have the ball.
He's wonderful. He's got 2 kids now. He's got a beautiful wife. He lives in Austin. He gathered us. Because he had 2 older brothers.
Yes.
So he came back as an emissary. He was like, I got some news, y'all.
As an emissary.
He said, y'all know. Like when you get a boner. We were like, yes, Benji. We all know when we get boners. He said, first, there's something you can do about it. And we were like, what? And he went, okay. You can keep going. We were like, no. He's like, you can keep going.
Oh my
and then something happened. And he told us, and I know at least 4 of us went home that week and we're like, let me see what Benji's talking about. Let me find this J.C. Penney's catalog.
I remember wanting a wet dream. We thought girls got their periods and boys got their wet dreams. And I finally had one and I was like, I really wanted one.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, that's not a thing. That is not a thing. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, that was one of those.
We wanted an initiation.
Yeah, you wanted a kind of like doorway into manhood.
Yeah.
And I mean, I didn't know I was queer. I didn't know I was going to identify as bisexual later. I just was kind of always like, oh, this is interesting. Oh, this is interesting.
Yeah.
And so my entire kind of like high school existence was this duality of like, oh, I'm really attracted to girls that have all these like fun relationships with girls, but then I also have this like weird. One time a new guy came to our school, and I just remember being obsessed with him in a way I couldn't articulate. So people be like, "Oh my gosh!" Like this new guy be like, "Man, he's really. We should figure out like what he likes to do." And they'd be like, "What?"
This is like Anchorman.
Yeah.
When this is all over, we should get an apartment together.
Very.
I miss your muss.
Very much.
I miss your muss. But why does that joke work? It's because we know the Anchorman boys, there's a homosocial charge to it.
And I was like, we got to talk to him about his old school. What did they do there? And everyone was like, we do not care. I was like, I care. And so I had like those moments, and I also would have like this, me and this girl, we would just like make out in a car because I would have to go to like my theater classes at the end of the day. And in between, there was an interim where we could like go to that part of the school, and we would just like make out in the car. And it probably looked so performative. I was like, before I went to go do 2 hours of theater, I was like, yeah, let me make out in a car with this cheerleader. We'd make out, and then she'd go, and I'd be like, and then I'd go, this is crazy. I'd go to theater, and there was a guy named Chaz who we would like, this is so funny. We would like, he's a chef now. Ladies, you get it if you get it. He's a chef.
What does chef mean to you?
Girls love line cooks and chefs.
They're dangerous. They smoke. They have cigarettes. They also like.
They're good at something.
There's something about like I couldn't eat
working class bad boys.
They are, and they know the. When I say grotesque, I don't mean gross, but they're like, if you want to eat this, you have to get through this. Like, they're not afraid of blood and kill. There's something like an oyster and a vagina, and they're just like, I love oysters. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, that is not a new point.
But there's a dedication to like tactile elements and
taste. Smell. But they're dealing with the raw thing to get to the presentable thing,
and in a very kind of like old school masculinity way, they're manly. They're manly because they do a thing with knives, and they yell at people yell at them, they yell back, there's fire,
yell. It's urgent, everything's on a clock. It's so funny, cooking is feminine until it becomes like intense, and then it's like, now it's the most masculine thing.
And this is my kink to bear, and then you kind of go, can the lady yell at me? Then you kind of get there where you go, Cat Cora, yell at me.
When you shoot on set, you'll see a lot of mask leaning women that are on crews, and I've done hundreds of things, and there's always guys going like, that's what's up, like, I want that. There's something underrepresented sexy about a woman that can pick up a camera, and you're just sort of like, what the fuck am I looking at right now? And it's kind of, it's in there.
I think that like, so that element of like, oh, what do I want sexually? That was present with me all throughout high school and then college.
Oh, who are you saying was a chef though?
This guy that I would.
You'd go to the theater class.
I'd go to the theater class, and he's a chef now. But at the time, we would like cuddle in a way that we could easily pass off as like, oh, just a bunch of teenagers just kind of like chilling. But I was like, but why? Listen, why am I in your lap? Okay, like,
you're really bringing me back to high school. There were those people that would just kind of pour into each other,
like a cuddle puddle, like a puppy pile,
and they'd play with hair, and they'd run their hands on your arm or whatever it was. I had that, dude. You're bringing me back. My friend Liz would draw henna on my hand, and I was like.
And you'd stay there.
I would.
You'd be like, I have
to
do this,
and I felt like I was being initiated.
It's. I mean, like if we kind of look at this from an anthropological standpoint, it's a very primate grooming circle.
It is
of us to kind of just pick at each other and rub on each other.
Yes.
And so,
but the theater was the place.
Yeah,
I envied the theater.
Oh, they did. You had carte blanche to do whatever you wanted to do if you were a theater department,
and you could pretend to be a grown up. Look, when I say kink, I don't mean bad.
Yeah.
There's something erotic about it. It's like, I'm going to be Hamlet. Hamlet's a grown dude.
Hamlet is a grown dude who is not processing the death of his dad well. And he's like, you know what? I think a couple people should die.
Yeah.
Like, and so imagine saying, hey, you're 16, go for it.
Yeah, that's right.
There were moments where one of my first like big makeouts was on stage, backstage, because there was a kiss in the show. And so because there was a kiss in the show, everyone in the show was like, well, we should kiss. And so...
Wait, the people who didn't have a kiss?
People who didn't have a kiss were like, well, we're kissing too. If y'all are kissing, we got to kiss. And so this was not on stage. And some of it was not scripted. And sometimes the director, who was also, I'm looking back on it, she had to be only like 28. She was dealing with us. She's only 10 years, 12 years older than us.
Yeah.
We would kiss... backstage because they were gonna have a kiss on stage and be like, oh well, let's like make fun of them kissing. So it was always like, we're kind of making fun of y'all. We're just kissing.
Back.
We're just kissing.
My friend Ern was in. His name's Aaron, but we called him Ern. He was in a Big Ern. He was in a theater thing. I went and saw him do this play, and he kissed a girl like 15 times in this play. And I'm still mad about it. I was in the crowd, and I was like, we had a deal. Like, we're lame. Like, we're not.
You wanted to kiss Ern.
Well, I mean, those best friend things, it never went sexual, but that closeness is a type of, I don't know how to categorize
homosocial.
it. It's homosocial.
It's homosocial, and you're aware of each other's sexualities.
You're aware of each other's sexualities.
I remember the first time I saw my
and there was a
friend's
possessiveness. That's actually what it was. I was possessive. And when he started dating a girl, this is also, we're learning homosocial. Yeah. It's like Pee-wee. The word of the day is homosocial. Because I remember being more angry. And again, I would tell you if I had overt sexual feelings, that wasn't in my consciousness. But there was shadow, and I don't mean bad. I mean, there was like unconscious, like, but you belong to me. We have each other. And Ern was my friend that was like saving me from my family. I love my family, but it wasn't like a very chill house. So I would walk like 4 miles to Ern's house.
Oh my God.
That's romance.
Yeah.
I don't mean sexual. I mean, it's romantic. It's like you're my best friend. You're saving me.
You're close to solving this male loneliness epidemic everyone's talking about.
Tell me.
Which is having a deeply rooted, kind of like fully realized relationship that's beautiful with another person, whether that be a man, but something that gets you kind of out of what has now become a very sort of market style relationship complex based on dating apps and the internet and perceived desirability.
Yes.
If you have a relationship with someone who you care about and you don't have sex, but you do have moments where you go, I love you so much. I'm so happy we get to have this.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist as much for young guys right now.
Let's dive into that. We're going to go to the mid-rolls here because it's been an hour, and we'll be right back because I want to talk about male loneliness. I know all of a sudden it feels like we're doing a TV show. I just happen to notice we're changing topics right at the hour. So instead of the ads just being dropped out of nowhere, here they are.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
For better help, hopefully.
Pardon the interruption, weirdos. This episode is also brought to us by our friends at SHAKTI mats. SHAKTI mats are like laying on a bed of nails. And I'm not joking. It's thousands of tiny pokies, these tiny spikes that release muscle tension, boost circulation, and help melt away stress. I usually save this at the end, but I'm going to say it here. It's a fantastic gift idea for literally the person who has everything. You don't know what to get them a SHAKTI mat. Because what is it really? It's a personal masseuse. It's a stress relief. It's like a spa rolled up in the corner of your bedroom. You unfurl it, you lay on it, and you melt away tension. I like massage. I like things like sauna. I like things like cold plunge. Somehow a SHAKTI mat is a bit of a taste of all of those things, but you stay dry, it's easy to do, and it only takes a couple minutes. Although the first time I used a SHAKTI mat, I stayed on it for about half an hour, and I fell asleep. And I absolutely love it. This is, we're talking about acupressure mat. Means a little discomfort, means a lot of relief. And SHAKTI mat is a very, very high quality acupressure mat. It's one of the sharpest on the market, and it's the only one that they work with handmade. It's made handmade in India by people who are paid fairly with the highest quality materials, and I can vouch for that. Go to SHAKTI, SHAKTIMAT, SHAKTImat.com. Use promo code WEIRD30 as the code for 30% off any SHAKTI mat. That's SHAKTImat.com. Use promo code WEIRD30 and have that stress melting away. I use it constantly. I hope you like it as much as I do. We're also brought to us by our friends at Apollo Neuro. If you're watching the video, I'm pointing my Apollo. I'm always wearing my Apollo. Usually when I do the podcast, I have it set to social. What is it? Apollo Neuro is a revolutionary wearable that helps you naturally manage stress, improves your sleep, and boosts focus through gentle, scientifically backed vibrations. That doesn't really mean you feel it perceptually all the time, because I keep it on a pretty low setting. You can turn it up if you want to, but it's the language that your nervous system speaks. These vibrations are scientifically backed to speak to your nervous system and basically be a synthetic hug, calming you down, helping you recover. It's a holistic approach to wellness, and Apollo Neuro fits seamlessly into any routine. These vibrations can reduce stress, improve sleep, boost focus, faster recovery. It's drug-free and non-invasive. It's a natural alternative to traditional stress relief methods, and it is science-backed, versatile, developed by neuroscientists and supported by clinical research, made in the US, money-back guarantee. You got to try it. I've worn mine for years, and I've lost it in the past and immediately reordered it, and that is the test that you know it makes a difference in my life. Try Apollo Neuro today and transform your wellness routine. With rising demand, now is the perfect time to buy. They do often sell out, and they have 0% APR financing with a firm. Go to apolloneuro.com/weird for $60 off and a free sleep band. That's APOLLONEURO.com/weird for $60 off and a free sleep band. Back to the show. Okay, we're back. I want to talk about male loneliness. What a great topic. I'm so glad you picked up on that, because there is a yearning. Like, you know, I work with Judd a lot, and I love Judd very much, and so many of his movies are about this. When you get married or otherwise, your life moves on otherwise, you miss this camaraderie that you had. And again, I'm not saying anything sexual. I just want to be careful. Like with the Army, like these guys that are bonded together through intense experiences, or a sports team. But for me, now I have some close guy friends, and what we do, and I really want your advice, your take, is when we sit, I go, what are you ashamed of? Tell me something you're ashamed of. And we do it. And
That's
it's
good.
awesome. And I see more men's groups popping up, and more just like, I realized it was exhausting to hang out with my guy friends. This is through my 20s and most of my 30s, if I'm being real. Because all I was doing was competing with them and kind of like bragging. I was trying to be like, well, yeah, I'm doing Conan next week. And I was like, that's not relationship.
Yeah.
And then with my girlfriends, I would be like, I'd probably smothering them with too much. And I was like, can't we just kind of have a more well-rounded, can't I have one guy that I'm like, you know, I'm really scared that like this, or like what does this mean about me, or I'm ashamed about this. What's
I think that relationship dynamic and that sort of, I guess, like delineation between like, I can only talk about this with my girlfriends, I can only talk about this with my guy friends. Yeah. It's ruined 2.5 generations, almost 3. Now we kind of have this group of young men online who think they're not desirable, but who also think that they're owed something, versus like going out there and forging real life friendships and bonds with people. And then some of the relationships they have with people online now are toxic, or these people are manipulating them and taking advantage of them and kind of like using their grievances that are real to kind of boost their clout online and to have just an army of followers.
How instead
they do
of being
that?
By pandering.
Yeah, by pandering, and by saying you deserve these things. You should say this thing about black people. You should say this thing about Jewish people. You should say this thing about women in general. Instead of being like, you know what, you actually just need to talk to a dude in your neighborhood who's close. I don't know. Like if you like Yu-Gi-Oh, go play Yu-Gi-Oh with someone who you know. I don't know.
This is why Dungeons and Dragons. I don't even play Dungeons and Dragons, but it's making a comeback because we are breaking. We're breaking. And it's funny, can I say to that? Because that's great advice. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll go get a slice of pizza with this male friend from work. And then you're like, but it's going to be weird.
Yeah.
Like there will be like lulls. And I'm like, if there's one thing I could just kind of like pixie dust over everybody, Sprite dust, I would just be like, yeah. And you can be like honest about that.
Yeah.
Like, I'd love to go hang out. I'm a little worried it'll be weird, but I think if we push through that, it's like a good date. Like you could say the same thing. Like this might not work, but can we talk about, like, it's also like stand-up. Yeah. It's not working. Then the show becomes about how it's not working. Like it's an ownership of what is.
And it's scarier to like go through life not having at least one person you can talk to about something.
Yeah.
I think it's so much scarier to tell these men they have to become these sort of like stone statuesque figures, because the overcorrection is people say, oh, I have to become this like alpha male, and I have to really get in the, because have you seen this like kind of evolution where it went from I have to get really into sports, and it's like, no, I have to get really into bodybuilding, and now it's like, no, I have to really get into like mixed martial arts. And so even the aesthetic they're attempting to pursue, because like if you're in shape now, they're like, oh, but is it functional? Actually, I know a couple of guys who do jujitsu who could like beat your ass. When like a couple of years ago, it was like, oh, you want to look like Chris Evans when he comes out of the Captain America chamber.
Yep.
First of all, most important tits in Marvel history, I would argue.
They look great.
I know.
I'm gonna say
he's not gonna ever do it again, because I get it. Chris Evans was sick of it, but woo,
he won't do Captain America.
I mean,
no, that's almost. You know, Chris Evans did this podcast. Can you believe it?
Was he in this?
He wasn't in the.
Where was he?
It
Where
was
was he?
Zoom.
Where Zoom? I was about to smell this. But
I'm gonna say that is. It's not like Little Richard, but that.
You remember when that happened? Every guy was like, I gotta look like Captain America and Thor. So many of my straight male friends were like, oh, I need that man. I was like, say it again.
Right.
They're like, I need to look like that man. I was like, okay.
But the line between I want to be like, I want to be like is a kind of love. You know what I mean? Or
admiration,
adoration,
and
flattery.
veneration, and like their goals. These are demigods who you get to say, oh, I get to do what he does.
Yes.
Thank you so much for inspiring me, you man.
Well,
when I have sex with my wife, I'm going to think of you and thank you.
Right. And even the way you do that in a heterosexual way, which is what we're talking about. This is the trickster kind of getting in there. Is I'll pretend I'm him. Yeah. He's still there. You know what I mean? Like you're superimposing him on you.
Yes.
I think it's a very interesting thing when, again, in the normal, you know what I mean? Heteronormative narrative, a guy watches Captain America and goes, I want to be that. Yeah. That is so intimate.
It's wild.
Call me by your name. Yes. Call me by your name. Call me Captain America. Call me Jason Bourne. You think it's distancing you. No. It's actually as close as you could be to it. I mean, I want to be you.
You're a priest in that church. You're an acolyte.
You're an acolyte. You're inside of it.
And it's inside of you.
And it's inside of, and I'm not even trying to be. I mean, we can. We can. We can do that.
But there's like a level, there is a level of male loneliness online that kind of the way people get out of it is through gym relationships. They have a guy, I've had this, men who like, we've never really talked about anything other than how we're looking that day in the gym and what we're working on and what we're trying. There's an older gentleman at my gym in New York City during the pandemic. We were both kind of worried about like the gym closing down, and we'd seen each other all the time. And you know what this man told me his dream was?
Gym closed laws?
Yeah.
We were a little worried about the gym closed laws.
Yeah.
That was a stretch. I love that you went with it.
Well, I also was like, I mean, I get it. Like, this is a social component for him. He wanted to do porn, and now he does porn.
Wait,
and he told me he wanted to do it. He's like a straight guy, older guy, and he told me he was like, I really kind of want to get into like nude modeling, and then that kind of turned into like, I kind of want to do like porn. And I was like, I was like, oh, like sex work is work, like okay. Yeah. Like I'm very much like, hell yeah. And he like does it now. And to me, that wasn't sexual, but it was intimate. Yes. I was like, what?
Yeah. Whoa. It's, you know what it is? You're gonna know. I can't wait to say this to you.
Say it.
That is sold in the same store as people, regardless of their sexual identity, talking about their dreams.
Yes.
We love it.
Yes.
Or here, you were in my dream last night.
And you go, what?
Girl.
What?
It is, girl. It is. We need these. And there's something, again, I'm not even
I had a dream about you. I had a dream about you text or in person. You go, what?
Yeah, that's right. And we know it's the I need to talk. Yeah. I need to talk we need to talk is break up.
Can I talk about something?
And I had a dream about you. And people play with it too. They'll send it as a standalone text, and then you got the 3 bubbles, and you're
then you go.
Send it as one. Actually, don't, because it's very titillating to wonder where it's going. But what I think what we were having, I think this is a fascinating conversation about that coyote, meaning culture wants you to think that you're on a conveyor belt.
Yeah.
And it's the game of life, and you're given a shirt and the briefcase and the car. And I'm not even talking about you're supposed to. It could be gay, it could be straight, but actually,
I think for the purposes of this, you can talk about the reason it has to be straight, and here's why it has to be straight. Maybe not 100% straight, but it has to be straight enough that you, and this is so like early modern era, like great chain of being, you have to make kids. And the reason you have to make kids is because you're working so hard to have all this stuff. Don't you want to make sure your stuff goes to something that came from you? Your stuff gets your stuff. If your stuff doesn't get your stuff, what are you even getting stuff for? You're going to give your stuff away to strangers? Well, that's chaos. That's communism, actually.
What you just brought, that is so funny.
It was so
funny, I comedy laughed at it. I'm like, that's very funny. That's really good. Because I do think there's something really there. And then the old guy who has $1 billion, like Knives Out, Chris Evans.
Yes.
Who's going to give it to his young wife.
Yes.
We hate that you're going to give your stuff to...
You broke the rule.
You broke the rule.
I get the stuff.
And gay relationship or childless relationship,
Yes.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm not judging. I'm saying you're breaking the rule.
Yes.
But what I was going to say too is like, you think you're on this, again, I think it's important. You're on this straight line. If you've ever had an epic dream, or if you've ever had a psychedelic experience, those things make you realize you're in it's more than 360. And it's swirling and it's confusing and it's strange. And these these wicked.
But they are devilish.
Yeah, devilish, but in the Loki way, not Satan.
Yeah.
I mean, like Loki. Whether or not you meet a Loki character on a psychic quest, on a vision quest, you feel that sort of like it is, will you be. When we're talking about the initiations of like, my dorm room was constantly naked. What are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
And it wasn't as simple as, well, you want to suck each other's dicks. It wasn't that simple. But it feels dreamy and ethereal, and it's not conveyor. But that's all I'm saying. I'm saying
but
the things at play. We need Little Richards, and we need Prince, and we need all this stuff. We need Burning Man, and we need ayahuasca or whatever it is. We need all this stuff.
But you have to have those off-ramps from this highway that you're describing, because those off-ramps make you go, oh, this is what life is about. It's about this weird little experience I had here, and then I get to move on this way a little bit, and then I go, actually, let me do this. Oh, this is... And for me, I started to do comedy when I was 29, so my off-ramp became a main path when I thought the main path was going to be personal trainer and actor and just kind of doting husband. And even before that, I thought the main path would have been, if we get back even to earlier stuff, was theater teacher at the collegiate level. And before that, I thought it was going to be lawyer. And before that, I thought it was going to be doctor, because I went to school for biology, and then I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to. It's like the main path, as you're describing, it exists in theory, and then because of these little tricksters and because of these parts of life, you kind of go, oh shit, it's actually over here.
That actually end up being, I know this is such a cliche,
it's what you
but they're
said,
your
though.
teachers.
Yeah, they're your teachers, but they're also never going to tell you directly. They're trickster gods, and the trickster deity of it all is, I can't give you this information directly, because then you won't even do that.
Right.
I can't tell you to do this, because then you're going to say, what do you know?
It actually goes back to the carving of the giant saying. You actually have to kind of suffer it into you or be tricked into it.
Yeah.
Because if you could just explain it, we would have a YouTube video that would like explain life to you.
And that's just being a robot.
Exactly.
That's what, if there's a prescriptive method and model for life, the minute someone succeeds without it, then it's outdated.
Yeah.
If someone says, this is the only way to make it, and you go, what about that person? They go, I guess you could do
well,
that.
you know, in comedy that's been happening over and over. That's what's been really humbling in the great way, where I'm like, sometimes people say, how did you make it?
Yeah.
And I'm like, almost everything I did has no application. And I kind of like that. I kind of think it's fun. There are some principles that remain, but then you're like, I don't know, man.
I'm also like, I'm on the cusp of that as well. Like, I was one of, I think, maybe one of the last groups of people who were like, okay, so these are the steps, do these steps.
Yeah.
And the steps don't guarantee success, but they guarantee a couple of eyes on you in a way that can lead to success if you execute correctly. And so like those steps happen, and now I'm hyper aware of both like the old school way and the new emerging way, and taking elements from both and what I really like. Like I'm still very punchy and I love working a set. People are like, oh, you love set up punch. And I go, here's the thing. Crowds love set up punch because crowds love being fed. If you've ever, sometimes, and you know this, sometimes you go, oh, I love telling these jokes. I could go weird right now, but y'all aren't. I need y'all to really be locked in on the easy stuff before I can ever get weird. Because
you earn it.
You earn it because if you don't, crowds go, he came out confusing me at first. I go,
Val pointed that out to me. It's been 25 years, and she goes, Pete, usually the first 10 minutes of your set is you daring them to not like you and like saying something weird, like uncomfortable. Usually she was like, there's always some weird porn joke, and it's this weird churchy reflex where I'm like, if you're gonna enjoy all of this, I need to know I can trust you. And she's like, you can just stop doing that.
But you know who matches, you and Taylor both do occupy those ends of the spectrum where you're both very porny sometimes and very theological and not Christian. But both porn. You know how to.
I say this all the time. I go, you guys love the jizz jokes and you love the God jokes. And I'm like, who are you?
Yeah,
and I'm like, you respect. Like, I didn't know you guys existed.
Oh, I love the fact that as a comic right now, I still have that reaction. I go, wait a second, y'all laughing at some of the craziest stuff. This is just fun, stuff I said to the mirror and in the shower. Y'all are weird.
Yeah. But you earn it. You gotta like walk them in with the setup punch. You know what's interesting? Maybe this is a stretch, or you'll really know what I mean. One time I watched the John Wick movies. I might have been stoned, or I might just kind of been feeling fanciful, like feeling flighty in my thinking. And I was like, oh my God, John Wick is the old and the new. Karate and all those.
And guns.
And guns.
And guns.
And we love it.
Yeah.
We want to see the old and the new.
Yeah.
So I like, you're John Wick.
Yes.
You're going like, I know how to do what Dave Attell is doing, or, that kind of thing.
Thank you
and
so much.
I know how to do,
When I tell you that's one of the highest compliments. Well, thank you. I love Dave Attell. And when people go, oh, would you watch growing up? Insomniac with Dave Attell. And Dave Attell was doing everything that everyone with the camera on the street is doing now. Back then.
That's right.
Dave Attell was dealing with drunk people at 2 a.m.
He was
with a camera.
He was the original Hawk Tua girl. I'm not even.
Original.
That's what it was.
Hawk Tua. It's true.
Well, he finding the original Hawk Tua girls.
Yeah, he found a few original Hawk Tua girls. And if that would have happened, I mean, you can't even tell me that those people know about Dave Attell because I don't know if they do. Yeah. But like, I know about Insomniac. They know.
Yeah. He is the ultimate, like, I'm going to come. Like, it does feel like karate. He's going, like, on one of those things that just has the nubs.
He does this amazing thing where, like, he is aware that he is both, like, part of the old guard, but also existing in a new world, and he doesn't resist it. He lets it wash over him, and he plays with it. And there's this beauty in someone who you look up to, still crushing the last show of the night at the Cellar, and you're there with him, and you go, that. In my head, and I know some people don't want this. In my head, I go, okay, so I could still be like telling really fun, timely jokes. Like at that age.
Yeah.
And some people go, I don't want to have to do that. I want to be doing arenas and I want to be retired in a big house. I don't care. I think there's a beauty in that. Yeah. Because that means you're the old head that gets to come in super late at night and play with the band, and people go, watch this.
Yeah, that's
that
right.
to me is like,
well, that feels like old showbiz. In fact, the bar where I saw the naked ladies was Jeff Goldblum does a night of music there. It's right over here. Yeah. And that's Attell. Yeah. Jeff Goldblum doesn't need to do that. No. Attell, I think he doesn't need to do that. You know what I'm saying? He wants to do it because I think these guys have figured out something that's really hard to figure out, which is this is your life.
Yes.
This, right? Whatever you're doing right now, it's not sitting in a mansion and going like, boy, we did it.
Yeah.
And it's also not just insatiably doing it. It's finding what you like to do and do it. And Jeff Goldblum likes to sing and entertain people.
And that entertainment aspect to me enriches all of the other stuff. Like
it gives a purity to it.
Yeah, especially I just saw Sinners, and Delroy Lindo, his character blew me away. As a Mississippian, as a person who knows a bunch of old black men from Mississippi, he occupied this space where, he's a kind of mean drunk, but he's funny, but there's heart, and at his core, he's a musician.
It's
who
like The
loves
Color
to
Purple.
play,
I haven't seen
right?
it, but you remember the husband in Color
Yeah,
Purple, and you're like,
yes.
but I kind of like him.
Yes. Well,
But,
okay. Here's the crazy part, and here's the crazy part about being a comedian and seeing older showbiz people. So much of comedy now has been kind of connected to Hollywood, so that youth is this thing that people have to have. But then I know, and you've learned this, like specifically as a like comedian, as you get older, you kind of just get better. As long as you don't start hating like trans folks, you get just a little. You know what I mean? You just get a little bit more seasoning on the cast iron pan.
I agree.
You kind of stuff slips off.
I heard a Malcolm Gladwell thing. He was talking about Paul Simon.
Yeah.
And he was like, and Paul Simon's an anomaly because he never stopped. He's just been doing music all this time. And a lot of people do go like, well, that's enough. And I'm like, and a lot of comics, their careers get interrupted by some other thing. But there are guys like I know we just said trans jokes, so Chappelle came to my mind. But like Chappelle, with those, whatever you want to call them, blind spots, also is like been doing it for 30
Since
years.
he was a kid.
40 years?
That is a while. Like Dave Chappelle, once again, Killing Them Softly is one
Changed
of
my
those
life.
specials that
It was a
changed
baby.
my life.
It was a baby.
You probably know this, and you see
He's
it.
on the corner.
I'm selling drugs, nigga. I said it so Pete didn't have to.
I know, I said
but
we go to color bars.
But there is an element of going, I know this like super important seminal text. And whenever I first started doing stand-up, I would hear people, this is what people were doing when I first started. They were doing, all the white boys were doing Mark, they were doing Normand, or they were doing kind of a mix of Mulaney and Birbiglia. The soft white boys were doing that. The ones who wanted to like.
Those are your choices.
Yeah.
It is like D&D.
Yeah.
Do you want to be an elf or do you want to be
And then
Mike Birbiglia?
a lot of the young a lot of the young black boys were still doing either Kevin or Chappelle. And I would hear it, and it made me, I had a rule earlier. I never wanted to end a joke with bitch as a punchline when I didn't have a good enough actual punchline, because I just knew they didn't know they were taking it from Chappelle.
Bitch is a tag.
Yeah, but
Bitch is a tag, but have a good joke
But
first.
they didn't know that they were doing Chappelle. Bitch, they didn't know they were doing that. That's because it was something that was so in his voice, and so kind of ingrained in him. And he probably was channeling who is the person that, like, not just Chappelle. Oh my God, who's the guy from DC that Tony? Oh my God. Is it Tony? I forget Tony's last name.
I'm forgetting
Tony's
Tony's last name
comedian
too,
that
who
Dave Chappelle
greatly inspired Chappelle.
Yes.
And did some shows with Chappelle. I think he opens for him sometimes. Fuck. Katie, would you just...
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Dave Chappelle.
Tony Woods. Tony Woods. Shout out Tony Woods.
Yeah.
But like, you see Dave really kind of taking that, and then it transmogrifies and becomes more Dave, and so that's the standard. And you see other people kind of do that.
But what's weird is when you watch... Did you watch that? Now we're just talking about Chappelle. I'd rather talk about you, but I'm just saying, like, you see Chappelle in high school, and you're like, he's doing him. It was there.
Yeah.
That's the weirdest thing about
You see the
him.
flashes.
You see him do like this.
Well, like Kevin Hart is another example of someone to me who, like, when Kevin Hart found out that his magic was a little bit of patter, a little bit of finger snapping, and a little bit and losing, Kevin Hart made it cool to be a black male comedian who was losing so much. So much of it was like, we have to win. In the stories, Kevin Hart was always losing. All of his early stories, little Kevin Hart was always losing. He was people were making fun of him. His ex-wife, his dad, people growing up, he was always losing.
Well, it's funny to me that I love Rock, obviously, but Rock, I'll never forget. I won't say who it was because it's their story to say. I remember when I was starting, I was 22, 23. I'm like, obviously, Chris Rock is the best. And this guy goes, yeah, but I like a little bit more vulnerability.
Yeah.
And I never even considered that. But Chris, to me, is coming from that time when you get the last laugh.
Yeah.
That's why I made it so challenging that he got slapped, because I was like, this isn't the guy that's going to do the bit about like what he learned. It doesn't matter what I thought. I just thought when he did the bit, he was doing what he does, which is like, my heart, I connect to Chris. I'm like, I know you, man. I know you got like teased and hurt, and you became Iron Man.
But he gets,
and you're like, you're not going to do that.
He gets to tell that version of the story, I think, in Everybody Hates Chris.
Yeah,
so the
that's
TV
what it
show,
is.
he gets to like get beat up by like racists in the 80s, and his mom smacks him around, and his brother's the cool one, and his sister makes fun of him.
You're right. He dumped it all there.
He gets to tell it all there.
Yeah.
Because on stage, I think it just is a bit, maybe it's a narrative that he never really wanted to like. Because with his stand-up, he's a prowler. He's like, he's walking the full length of the stage and telling you something that you need to know about race relations in America. Whereas on the show, it's kind of like just a kid who's a loser.
Right.
Which is beautiful, because you get to go, it's funny.
But and then you're saying Kevin
was doing that on stage.
Did it on stage.
Kevin was doing it on stage when Kevin was like he has this very, very funny story. And it happened as he continued to rise in fame, because he would find new levels. So then he was famous enough to hang out with Dwayne Wade. So he has these funny jokes about Dwayne Wade taking him out. And he's like, oh, so we like, shit, you ain't paying for it? Okay. So, okay, I got it. And he's like,
new ways to be low status.
I'm a loser again. It's him
him
hanging out with The Rock. And so physically there's a difference. So he makes fun of The Rock makes fun of him. The Rock gets the last laugh. Then he gets to call The Rock a big dummy. But everyone enjoys seeing Kevin lose. And to me, when I was like, oh, okay, so there are all these elements of stand-up where you can be a winner, you can be a loser, you can be sassy, you can be dumb, you can, and so like as a comic, I'm like, okay, what parts of this do I like? I love losing, but I also love kind of getting last laugh. When you're queer, you get to kind of be the arbiter of wit sometimes, so you get to be like, oh, actually, I get to make this point.
Well, there's a lot of dynamics here, right?
Yeah.
In fact, before you pause there, I was going to say Kevin is very handsome.
Yeah.
And he's short.
Yes.
So you want him to win. You could, don't get me started on like justice, like what the audience thinks is just. And when I'm not here to tell you what a queer person, but there's a different dynamic.
Yeah.
We want you to win in different ways. There's a different sensibility. And I think Kevin's good lookingness helps us. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
But Kevin also gets to queer the narrative, because if he's a man who's losing, men don't lose, but short men can lose. Why? Because short men aren't manly enough. Why aren't they manly enough? Because every man has to be this amount of height. But as you know, after a certain amount of height, you and Goldman talk about this, like there is a level of height where it's silly that now that you aren't holding a ball, you go, what's all this for? You go, wait a minute.
Funny.
This is actually funny.
Well,
wait a second. You go, Garrett, you down here at the cellar, you gonna hit your head.
That's
Be careful.
it. That's it.
It's you. Boom.
There's a a joke, I actually think this is good. A joke is a benign violation, right? It's like a safe violation. And a tall guy who isn't doing anything with it is already funny. It's already funny.
Yeah.
What is he doing here?
And then people make fun of it. It's Veep.
Yeah.
Veep was all about that.
Yeah.
Like there's so many times where you go, oh, that's how we like, that's the comedy math on this. And so whenever you're a queer person, a black person, a person from the South, I don't know, like I get to like lose and win. So like the justice then is if I make fun of racism in the South, to me the funnier joke is making fun of people who think there's not racism outside of the South. So I have this joke where I say, oh, you moved to New York, and people say, oh, Jay, you must be happy to be out of the South. The racism down there must be so pronounced. And I go, you pronounce it just fine up here. And like that's a very Southern way to handle that and diffuse that. But it comes from the fact that when I moved to New York in 2015, people were like, oh, Mississippi's so racist. And I go, y'all just killed like a dude up here. Didn't y'all
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
strangle a guy to death?
Right.
Okay, all right.
Well, scapegoating is one of the most human things in the world, and we get so excited. I mean, all of humanity gets so excited if we can say our evil is in, I'll go to the 90s, it's in Iraq.
Yes.
If we can say racism is in the South. And that's exactly what scapegoating is you go, I'm not from the South. I'm not.
You go, I get to put all this there.
Nobody
it goes there.
hung people in our trees. It's like, yes, they did.
They go, and if they didn't, they just beat them on the sidewalk.
Right, exactly.
Or they hit them with a car. Like,
but we just want to go, it's over there.
And that, I think that, like, because my approach to comedy was also a bit theatrical, I was always...
You really don't seem like an actor. When I first saw it, because I was like, oh, okay, Jay is an actor. Which is so funny, because Chappelle also went to school for drama.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I have a guess. And then when I watched it, I was like, it's just a compliment. I go, oh no, that's a real comic.
Yeah.
That's a real
I grew
comic.
up. I was indoctrinated so early because Comedy Central to me was fascinating. Because think about this. Every other station, like, you didn't see people talk that uninterrupted for that long.
That's true.
Saw dialogue, you saw interviews. The first time I saw Pablo Francisco, or the first time I saw like Wanda Sykes or Jim Gaffigan's special with like the corn in the back, you have to remember
Skinny Jim
with the glasses. And I remember thinking, they're talking a lot. Oh my God, they're talking the whole time. Yeah. And so then you just watch it, and you watch as a person who was in theater at the time, I was like, oh, these are monologues. But there's something different about them. Oh, they're like are planning these like laughs, and then I watch Tough Crowd, and that's just like ball busting. Yeah. And then I watch Last Comic Standing, and then stand up kind of is like popping up everywhere. And this is before anything else. So like my introduction to stand up was Comedy Central, and then a little bit of Last Comic Standing. Too. And I was just like blown away.
Yeah. But I thought you were also gonna say. It really, because a monologue would terrify me. If I was going to do an hour or plus of a monologue, I'd be like, that's if I was just going like, thing about cobblestones. They always make me think about meeting my first wife. You know, like that, because I don't know where I am. Yeah. With stand-up, every 5 seconds you know where you are. Yeah. So it really is, and I am partially saying this to make myself feel, it's a dialogue. It's a scene. You're doing a scene with them.
And I love stand-up because you get to construct it, and you really get to construct it over time. With a monologue, maybe you sat down and wrote it, then you edit, then you wrote. But like in stand-up, there is a give and take where you go, that one, okay, that one's not working the way I want. Yeah. Okay, put that one someplace else.
Or it stopped working.
Or you go, I already said that word.
Yeah.
I can't use that word again. They liked when I said it the first time, diminishing returns. Okay.
Yes.
There are like all these kind of, I guess, it's kind of market research that you get to do where you go, okay.
Over and over
and
over.
All right.
Over and over.
And so then my hour isn't just my hour. My hour is this like stitching together of all these different fibers from the shows I did to build up to this hour. My hour is someone coming up to me after a show in Philly and being like, oh, what about this? And I go, so you know, I'm still in it, and thank you.
Yeah, that's right.
Like it's that.
But the audience is helping you with it all the way. I don't mean by talking.
Not by talking. We love that you're in a relationship. I can see it. Now back to me. The obsession with asking people if they're dating or fucking. I know that it's like easy. It's easy to put a video like that up, but the hard part to me is that. I really want people at my show to have a good date. I never want to stop someone from getting laid because I asked about it. It's so scary.
I feel like an old man, but like I remember doing comedy, and there's a guy, and he's clear. I was too young to know he's clearly with a call girl. He's with a sex worker, and you're like. And, oh no! Like you didn't know a guy could say a full sentence in silence, but he was like, "Please don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. This is not." Or I saw a pregnant woman smoking, and she's like, "Don't talk to me." Like all of these things, and I was like, "Look, I'm not here to judge anybody. I really just want everybody to have a good time." Yeah. And there is a risk when you start asking them about.
And the good.
You guys happy?
Yeah. The good time that I want people to have is I also want people kind of to your John Wick point, is to leave a show of mine and go, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I really like stand-up. I still have stand-up virgins and stand-up newbies come up to a show.
Oh, I love it.
And they go,
more and more.
This is my first time. I got out of the house. I'm happy I got to see it.
And I always go like, it goes downhill. You know, I'll share this with you because we're having such fun. The cockiest thing I say on stage, if I go up early in a show, is I go, you guys think it's going to get better after I leave. Like, because I feel them pacing themselves. I'm like, this is it. This is it.
Last night
Let's enjoy this now.
Last night I said something similarly cocky. I said, wait a second. Y'all ain't never met someone with confidence before? Shut up. I got stuff to say.
That's it. Okay, so going back to the gay coyote, the Loki.
Yes.
I think stand-up helps me imbibe the spirit. Like the thing that I always say, I say it on the pod, so I'll say it quickly, is mask work and tribes that put on a mask and then they would behave like that thing.
This is very theater of you. I love that. We do mask work. And my pedagogy, my acting training, like we did mask work in undergrad and in grad school.
So you know.
Yeah, it's comedia. You go, these are the stock characters. You have to embody Arlecchino. You have to embody like Columbina, like you have to be this part of Commedia, and you have to do the poses and occupy their place in the story.
What?
So you have to be a tricky servant. You have to be a lecherous old man. You have to be this stoic male figure who like beats people up.
Because we're having a dream together.
Yes.
And you're gonna be, and this is what dreams are like, and it's not random.
No,
it seems random. That's why when you watch a movie, the mantra is always surprising but inevitable. When you're writing a story, you go, it surprised me, but yet when I think about it, I go, it had to be that.
And that's why they can have flashbacks right before the ultimate scene where you go, this is, okay, they were spoon feeding it to us.
That's
this
right.
Thing,
then you watch it again, how did that surprise me? The movie opens with him dying, and I'm surprised that he dies.
But that's what comedy is. Comedy, you go, pattern recognition skills. Everyone has it, and people go, yes. And you go, okay, 1, 2, and they go 3. And if you're clever, you go C. They go, oh, C is 3. Okay, let me do some math. And then sometimes you go 1, 2, and they go 3, and you go penis, and they go, why'd you say that? And you go, it's transgressive. And they go, oh, you're right. But like,
that's like Chappelle. Sorry to keep, I'm not forcing it.
No.
He talked about when he was in theater school, learning how to get them all to look at one thing so you could hit them with something. And it's like
that's
focus
also,
their attention.
That's
and
also
then
Commedia. That's what slapstick comedy is. That's what like a lot of early kind of comedy work was like everyone look over, Punch and Judy is that. That's what these puppets are. It's here, bonk. What? It's like,
that's right.
I think that so much
and
of this.
That's bitch.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Bitch. That's what bitch is.
And it's also like fun because you said about the movie, it's surprising. It's surprising but inevitable. Yeah. That's a lot of what comedy is. You go, okay, listen, Pete Holmes would not make me pay for these tickets if he wasn't going to say something funny. Right. Now, I'm going to be surprised because I don't know where this funny is coming from, but I'm expecting some funny.
Right. That's right. Yeah. And that's the greatest privilege of doing comedy for more than at the beginning. I still look back. That's what made Crashing interesting to me is like, I don't mean you're nobody. Everybody's somebody. I just mean like to the audience, there's no relationship.
Yeah.
And that's why the first 10 years of comedy is like, I'm Pete. I look like this guy.
Oh my God.
And this is what I'm about.
I like talk about this idea of comedic anonymity all the time. And the reason I specify comedic anonymity is that you walk in, the host says your name, and the crowd goes, who the fuck is that? And if you do a good job, people, as you leave, they don't say your name, but they go, who the fuck was that?
Yep.
It goes from who the fuck is that to who the fuck was that?
Oh, the good who the fuck is that?
The good, who was that?
Same words.
Same words. Word economy. Because it's comedy.
It's very good.
It's I mean, like, I love it and I'm obsessed with it. And I know that comes across. And I hope that people also kind of realize it's fun and cool to be obsessed with something. Mm-hmm. Like right now, some people still kind of go, oh, I'm doing stand-up until I get to do this. And I go, well, I'm doing stand-up because I'm lucky enough to get to do stand-up and I like it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't like it. I don't like the first thing you said. Because you know what's funny is because I think a lot about this. I was like, I like doing stand-up, but it's not my favorite part. My favorite part is having done stand-up.
Ooh, yeah.
I like being done with it.
Yeah.
And if I have 6 shows, I just did Nashville and we did 6, so it's 2 a night for 3 nights. I'm not relaxed or happy until the last show. And then I put it all down, and then I'm as happy as a boy can be.
I can be happy after the 2 shows that night.
It goes like this.
Yeah.
It's cranking up.
Yeah.
After the first show, This is it, man. I can't believe you relate. I'm so happy. First show, we got that out of the way.
Yeah.
I'm loose now. I got it. I feel pretty good. Then every show after, I feel better and better and better and better. Then when it's all done and we usually get an ice cream or something, I'm like, this is the best feeling.
So innocent. I would say
It
my
used to be.
obsessions right now are like stand up, and then related to you, I still am very much obsessed with the X-Men in a way that is so silly and boyish, but also like.
Well, that's probably part of the fun now, right?
The fun now for me is because I love narrative, and I also was I liked Greek mythology, and so Greek mythology directly ties to comic books, but I also liked animals. And so taxonomic breakdown and learning as much as I can about
I have to say, you got a great vocabulary. I've been over here
But you know what I mean?
Melatonic.
Yeah.
You said something earlier about melanin. Very melanated.
Melanated.
I'm melanated.
Yeah.
I've been learning all these words. I'm like, this is great.
But like,
so
taxonomic breakdown is basically like kingdom, phylum, like all of the way that we categorize animals and the way we categorize life on this planet. And so for me, X-Men was a part of that, because to me, X-Men were comic books in general, but X-Men, because of like the queer and kind of like minority status and marginalization element. But I was like, but this is so cool. Imagine being like, this person has powers. And instead of being like, they just have powers, be like, actually, let's explain why. And you go, what? To a certain extent.
Yeah.
To a certain extent.
And how would people take it?
And how would people respond?
When I say Little Richard is a mutant in the X-Men way, I mean that is a very high compliment.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
And when you watch the story of those people, you see they do have an origin story. And there is, I know it's Spider-Man, but there is a spider bite.
Yeah.
Or there is, you know.
For X-Men, it's connected to what we talked about earlier. It's puberty.
Oh,
so a lot of X genes manifest at puberty. So you're going through the most stressful time ever.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden you blow a wall off with half your face.
Well, isn't that funny that Rogue, who is very beautiful, if I touch somebody, there's intense consequence. It's kind of like I can't vouch for what it might or might not be saying, but it's almost like you're incredibly beautiful. You have this power that you don't even know.
Yes.
And you kind of have to learn how to use that for your good. My
God.
Right?
And you talk
Doesn't
about...
that sound like puberty?
Because, yes. And you have to talk about all of the psychological elements and the components of, like, everyone's power was like, there was always a dual... something gained, but also something lost.
Yeah.
Like, even if you were one of these hyper powerful individuals, okay, let's, like, you did a whole series as Professor X.
Yeah.
The amount...
But he's overwhelmed.
Of stress.
Yeah.
And the amount of kind of duplicity and lying you have to do when you know everyone else's truth.
Right.
Like, their entire X-Men arcs where Professor X lies to these people who are his students. Basically, sometimes they feel like his foster children, where you go, why would you lie to them? And he goes, because I had to. And you go, oh my God.
He's
you
like an
didn't have
oracle.
to, but you had to.
Why are the oracles always blind?
Yeah.
They're always in a trance or they're always in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
He has, it's surprising
you have to
but
take
inevitable.
something away.
He has to be in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
We were listening to Stevie Wonder on the way down, and I almost said to my daughter, I was like, this guy's blind.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe later. I didn't want to go there, but I was like, that's surprising but inevitable.
Well, they put Bran in the wheelchair at the end of Game of Thrones. Like, there's an element of constraining someone with power that immeasurable. You kind of have to say, I have to. It's like it's like when Luke loses his hand, you go, you have to lose something.
Yep.
There's something that has to be taken away from you.
Right.
And even, all of my favorite X-Men characters have that. Like Storm, people kind of go, oh, Storm can control the weather. You go, yeah, but that also means she could kill so many people.
Yeah.
Like, and she also, like, she was her origin story is like she was literally with her parents' dead bodies after an earthquake in Cairo for like 2 days. And she had, for the time, immense claustrophobia and didn't trust anyone because she was orphaned. She had to roam the streets. People tried to rape her. Like, it's like insane.
And that feels like hormones too.
Yeah.
Like teenage girls turn on their parents. So that's like the collateral damage.
Yeah.
It's like you're becoming this powerful thing, but you really just broke your mom's heart sort of thing. Yeah.
Oh my God. Whenever that is seen in almost every teenage movie, there's a big fight and like there's a door slamming moment and like the daughter or the teenage son says something that's not the whole movie's been funny. They see something not funny but cutting to their parent.
Yeah.
And at the time, you were like, oh, why does this feel weird? And now if you're older, you're like, God, that hurts.
Yeah. I'm with that, and I was going, who's Magneto? It's funny that the bad guy, obviously Magneto is a complicated character, like hate or self-hate is sort of powerful. You know what I mean? Like that feels correct.
And
too.
Isolationism. I mean, there were so many through lines that people were trying to weave with different writers about him. Like I think am
I misremembering that he's kind of Malcolm X-y?
So
like a separatist?
So what happened is that Stan Lee wrote them as two kind of figures that weren't necessarily gonna be MLK and Malcolm X, but that was sort of like later impressed upon them.
MLK and Malcolm X. Like, I could just hear Stanley saying it. Well, one of them's going to be MLK.
Magneto.
What?
He also was like such a
Magneto.
Yeah, that's what he had that accent where he
but
like
Magneto.
Oh wow!
Oh,
getting conspiracy theory.
All right, it was like, there, man.
But there is an element of Magneto that, especially in the 80s, where people were kind of questioning what it means to have an ethno state. So it's connected to that because he's a Jew. He's arguably one of the most famous Jewish characters in comic books, and he's created 2, not 3 different kind of nation states for mutants exclusively. And because I think he has like a very interesting relationship with media, like because he kind of became more of an anti-hero than a full-on villain. He wouldn't time people to train tracks. He was like, stop hurting mutants. But in the 60s, he was like, I want to take over the world. And they're like, we're going to stop you with this wooden gun. And he was like, you got me. You got me. Actually, who told? Who told?
Your name.
Yeah. Wooden handcuffs too? Y'all are prepared.
Triple lacquered handcuffs. We got Magneto. I love this. I love this so much. Okay, I don't want to run out of time. Let's talk a little bit about the meaning of life.
Okay,
that's also tied for first. You have so much funny stand-up about being married but not being boring, and I'm obviously like anybody. I'm like, what does this mean? Like you out here?
Yeah, every now and then we have fun threesomes. Every now and then.
Is your husband bisexual?
No, so I'm bisexual. My husband, he is. My husband is gay, but I would say he probably identifies more as like homoflexible now because we also understand that there's so many ways that gender can pop up for people that hot people kind of get to do whatever they want. That's the rule.
And that's your husband.
That's my husband.
He can
but yeah, the jokes about us not being...
Whoops, I was straight for 15 seconds. You get to look at me, though.
Yeah. I think that me joking about, like, the fact that we've had threesomes, the fact that we've, like, had, like, fun with other couples. So
I love your joke about your wedding and how there's overlap.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Well, it was at a gay
Not
wedding.
overlap, but you people that you've slept with.
But at a gay wedding, there are moments where you kind of go, okay, I've seen his ass, I've seen his dick, I've hooked up with him.
Well, Jay, forgive me for making you the representative of gayness, but I'm just talking to you.
Yeah.
Not the whole culture, just you. But it is something I've heard is like, there's a wedding.
Yeah.
There's 6 gay guys.
Yeah.
They're going to fuck.
Oh, yeah. Or they have fucked. Or
I mean, we'll get together. There'll be like a party. Because I won't say who, but a gay friend of mine will be like, you don't know what it's like to be the 7th gay guy that wasn't invited. I will. It's a comic. Brent James Sullivan has a great joke where he's like, funny. You're not invited to the gay orgy.
Or even like not full on orgy as far as like everyone participating, but sometimes on like a Fire Island house, like let's say there's a bedroom and 2 downstairs bedrooms. Sometimes, like, if there's a big pool party, you'll be like, oh, well, those people are kind of hooking up in the stairwell. I have to get past these people jerking each other off and kissing to go upstairs to my husband to have good Christian gay sex. Yeah. And you're like, well, if they're jerking off for a little bit, I got to watch them jerk off. So now I'm kind of involved in this. I got to go up to my husband. I go, hey, they're jerking off downstairs.
It was an impediment.
Yeah.
It was an obstacle.
Yeah.
Like,
these video games are hard. And so then
it's Frogger.
I had the VR goggles on. And so then my husband goes, they're not jerking off. I go downstairs and look. And he goes, we can come down with me. So like at that point, it's not. Sometimes these are one time in Fire Island. I specifically remember I was in the pool and my husband like kind of gave me the signal that he wanted to go upstairs. So we went upstairs. But because other gay guys sort of also were looking at you. If my husband accidentally gave the signal to another guy, so he comes up, but then his boyfriend's got to come up. So now there are 4 people. So then 4 people are in the room. And so then the owners of the house have an adjoining room. So they hear what's going on. They come by, say, hey, check and see if everyone's okay. So now there's 6 people in the room. If you give a mouse a cookie, it's very, I think that there is.
Give a mouse a cookie.
There's a silicone-based slippery slope to a lot of this.
Water-based.
Water-based. Yeah, we want to be able to wash the sheets. I think that like there's also like a little bit of, and this goes back to what we were talking about with homosocial relationships. For a lot of gay guys, and unless you're like very prim and proper, sometimes jerking off or giving a blowjob, it feels very much like a handshake in the sense you go, it's just skin. We're kind of just being naked together, and everyone's
destigmatized.
It's destigmatized in the same way that, okay, and this is for straight people, the closest thing that they have is chicken. So if you're in the pool and you're playing like the chicken game,
the game chicken
on the shoulders,
yeah.
So having someone's crotch on your neck,
a hot
and
badge.
it's usually girl,
a hot
it's a guy as the base, girl on top, and you know now it's 25, so flip it if you want to.
Yeah,
progression,
sure. But either way, something's getting pressed against the head.
It's a lot of, and you're in the water, you're in swimsuits in various states of undress. If there wasn't the threat of impregnation or the idea that like, straight people have to follow all these rules, they would hook up too. It would be an orgy.
I understand. I can hear my wife agreeing.
Would your wife let you put another woman on your shoulders?
This is Pulp Fiction. Okay. I wouldn't give another woman a foot massage either.
See?
I absolutely wouldn't.
See?
It's funny. Val is of the thing. She's like, I want to see everybody's butt.
I do want to see everyone's butt. That's me and Val. Me and Val are locked in. No, I want to see everyone's
if Val was
butt.
Here, I would get her in here, and she's helped me be like, wait, I want to see everybody's butt too.
Right.
She's like, she also is like, everybody should be kissing.
Yeah. Okay, yes.
Okay, I thought you were going to take it away.
No.
She's like, I don't know. We love people. We should be kissing.
Listen, that is the one thing that, as a person who as a day walker, a gay walker, a bisexual,
is that a Blade reference?
Yeah, so Blade's a damn queer. I'm a damn queer. And so I try to bring that energy to all my straight friends because my gay friends have it in excess. I'm bringing a straight friend of mine who's a very funny comic, John Marcos is racy. We're going to Fire Island.
John Marco did the show.
Yeah, he's doing a show in a Speedo, I think, on Fire Island with me.
Well, he's a babe.
But he's also going to be objectified. But he's going to bring his girlfriend. But there's also, to me, there's a very fun and almost 70s style element of like bringing straighter people to queer spaces and having, because the queerest thing you can do after you've reached kind of peak gay is bring a straight guy and a girl. Because now and this is what's going on in the gay streets, Pete, I don't know if you know. A lot of gay guys are now figuring out their bisexuality.
The cul-de-sacs?
The cul-de-sac.
I just needed a second.
That's very good. Yeah, the roundabouts. So a lot of gay guys are figuring out that they have these burgeoning feelings of bisexuality and kind of homoflexibility.
Interesting.
Because their aversion to women was one that was impressed upon them and one that was a bit performative and one that they thought they were kind of getting rid of heteronormativity and getting rid of these like social norms. And now, because they have time and they're older, they can really investigate and say, oh, well, actually, there is a part of me that really does want to like, I am attracted to this girl.
Right.
I'm attracted to a number of different body types. I'm attracted to these people.
This is Chasing Amy. Remember Chasing Amy?
Yes.
Where she's like, wasn't the whole point of getting into being a lesbian?
Yes.
To like figure out what I am, and now I'm in love with a guy. Yeah.
Which is, to me, the fun that we get to have with things now. So I think that like whenever I talk about all the gay stuff as a comic, my favorite thing is when straight couples come up to me afterwards and like the girlfriends love doing this. They go, he's a little bi. And the husband goes, what? No. And I go, yes, you are. Okay. I said, you bought a ticket. I said, I'm usually in my Speedo on my Instagram. You follow me. I get it.
Okay,
that's
I love
why I like
that.
talking about it.
No, I love all of this. I don't want you to not get to talk about the meaning of life because I am fascinated with sexuality and all of its expressions because it's so intermeshed with freedom
Yeah.
and identity. So I could do it all day.
No, let's
but
do it.
You need a proper, you
Okay.
made it weird, 10-minute here at the end.
Okay.
Do you have in this moment, like a feeling about what this is?
Yeah, and it's a tiny bit connected to your Netflix special and connected to something that someone very smart and beautiful kind of told me. There is a beauty in entropy. And so right now...
Help me with what that means.
Entropy,
I always think it just means moving.
So moving and a spreading and a diffusion of all of this. So right now it's very condensed. And at the end of all of this, at the end of all things, it will scatter about and I will be reduced back to whatever components and elements I came from. And I think that going towards that is a bit like going towards the collective and going towards heaven for some people. So heaven, if heaven is you getting to be with God again forever, and if God is the universe, then that's all that means to certain people, is when I die, there's a part of me that will be spread far and wide, like also when this rock gets gobbled up by the sun, and that kind of like weird swirling mass of what's left is what we're striving for. And so many people get scared because they go, oh, like it's nothing. And you kind of talk about what people mean when they say nothing and what nothingness is. And I think it's not nothing, it's just everything, but it's just in such tiny little parts that we're going to be spread out amongst it. And that's what we do no matter what. That's what I do when I like meet people. When I meet someone, I met them, and that is part of this spreading, swirling mass because we interacted for that long. We like collided into each other, and that bumped them into some other trajectory.
That's right.
That's what it is.
That's right.
So like on a macro and a micro level, that's what I think it is right
I think
now.
that's
what I think about.
Well, I'm so glad I asked. Yes, the image that you brought to mind, I sometimes think about, like, if you ever look at like a lake when it's raining hard, and it's almost like Sprite.
Yeah.
Like an effervescence rises from it. I sometimes think of us as this effervescence that's above a lake that's created by the rain. So the interaction, like you just said, of these two things creates this illusion of almost like a hologram.
Yeah.
There we are. And when that hologram goes away, it looks sad, like something ended, but really it was always just water.
Yeah. And it was water that was active and moving and
because that's its nature. It's entropy. It's what it wants to do, using your word.
No, exactly. That's because it wants to do.
I stole your word.
Well, because when I was even kind of first introduced to the concept of like life and death, the first death I really, really had to deal with hard. And this is so funny. It was a barber he was my barber, and my mom would drop me off at Paul's with my brother, and he would cut our hair. My mom came home one day crying, and she told us, well, Paul passed away from a motorcycle accident. And I like just lost it. It was the first time I had like someone who I saw every 2 weeks, and they were gone. And I went, and I just didn't know.
It's an abduction, basically.
Yeah, he was taken from me in a way that I don't think I'll ever really know how to. That first moment, like my heart dropped in a way where I was like, I wasn't close with him, but like I was close with him. And so when my mom would talk about heaven, I would kind of be like, I'd have like a very kind of like young Christian view of heaven where like everyone is going to be up there and white and clouds and stuff. And so as I continued to like move through the world and my relationship with Christianity changed, I started to think in a more humanist and kind of universal perspective. And so when I was introduced to this concept of like, if we're from the universe, we will return to the universe. And if you think that God is the universe, then you will be with God at the end of all of this. If that's your relationship and that's the nomenclature you want to use. I was like, oh, so like they're not wrong. My mom, still devout Christian. My mom's one of those Christians who goes Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, like loves church, loves the communal aspect of the Southern Black church. My mom casually will talk about how like Dr. King came to her church in the 60s. My mom was born in 1958. So she like saw it. She's seen everything. And my mom loves church. And my mom, she doesn't even, when I came out, there was no you're going to hell. When I got married, there was no like this isn't right. It was always like My mom has a ministry and a relationship with Christianity that is so love-based and so kindness-based, primarily because she's a teacher and because she taught special needs for 30 years, that her version of Christianity is so beautiful and so works-oriented that, like, I can't even say, oh, I don't believe in God, because the God that my mom believes in and works towards, to me, is a God of help and a God of service. So, like, if I believe in, like, anything, it is that serving people while you're here is such a beautiful and selfless act that, of course, my mom's God is real. And so I have a slightly different relationship based on, like, you know, a couple of teachings that other people have kind of like.
What was the other thing?
The other thing that I got.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
But the other thing that I got a lot of was that we are here to also be humans and enjoy our bodies. And that came from acting. That came from, like, also, like, just queerness and the celebration of.
Well, the incarnation, meaning just coming into form, isn't a mistake.
Yeah.
This has been coming up a lot in my conversations.
Why do we have skin? Why do we have nerve endings if we're not supposed to be pleasuring them?
And
right?
Well, I would agree with that, and also the idea that you don't know better than let's use very classic religious language.
Yeah.
Who are you to say you know better? Like it should have, like life should have started in heaven. It's here, and this is what we're doing, right?
Listen, a lot of Southern missionary Baptists is be a good person, have a good time. Be a good person, have a good time, have some children. And you go, well, how you supposed to make them? You know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there is a level, and then my church was also never like, that girl's going to hell because she had a baby out of marriage. We're just happy that baby has support. Oh, make sure that baby gets something to eat. Like, I have I want to say one of the things I was very lucky with was that even my pastors were never very fire and brimstone. They didn't necessarily talk about queerness at all. So that erasure wasn't something that, like, I would even, like, know how to, like, deal with. But
neither did Jesus.
They were just neither did Jesus.
Neither did
right? Exactly. Right. And I think
the sins. I don't mean that of the body. We're so obsessed with it. It has so much to do with shame, and it has nothing to do with spirituality.
And King James being a faggot himself. Right? Don't do this gay stuff I'm doing.
That's one. Based on your metric, that's one. So you can say it one time. That's your rule.
But there's, like, a very, very human.
Was he, by the way? Was King James a gay man?
Yeah. Well,
surprising but inevitable.
Surprising but inevitable. Who wrote all these gossipy ass stories in this book?
That's right.
My relationship with Christianity, because, like, my sister's still a very, like, very good practicing Christian, and my brother, he still goes to church, and his two kids, my niece and my nephew, they're being raised in the church. I have like a new bit I'm working on about Jesus getting blowjobs that to me is like
getting
or giving, but getting. Because and part of one of the things I even say is I go, y'all are uncomfortable right now because to maintain his divinity, a lot of y'all are kind of robbing Jesus of the human aspect of his life. I want you to remember he was just a dude. And if you don't want Jesus to get his dick sucked, think about how much he's done for you.
That's very, very
and
funny.
so people laugh at that, but I'm also kind of embodying some preacher stuff that I remember from growing up. Because being a preacher, to me, was like one of those other elements of like, oh, it's a big performer who's talking for a long time who also gets laughed.
Like stand-up.
Kind of stand-up.
It is, yep.
Even... It's a kind of rite of passage as a young black comedian. You have a bit where you kind of do preacher on something that isn't religious, and you kind of map that, and the kind of the distance between the two is funny.
That's right.
So, like, I still think that, like, religion has such a good place for so many people when it's not used as a cudgel to bonk people on the head. That, like, I'm never gonna be one of those people who's like, get it out of here. But I am gonna be like, oh, this is such an interesting take. I love narrative too. I love mythology. I love comic books.
There you go.
Right?
David and Goliath. You can't be all mad at it.
You can't be mad at it.
Yeah. A couple things came to mind. One is Father Greg Boyle, who I'm obsessed with, talks about the mystical lens, which is the lens you look through to know which parts you take and which parts you don't take. And he's like, and if you think that, he doesn't say it exactly like this. He's like, if you think that's weird, like we always thought, like if you were a Christian, you believe the Bible, you can't leave this part. It's right there. It says this, this horrible thing. He's like, Jesus is doing it constantly.
Yeah.
When he's talking about the Old Testament, he's picking and choosing. So that's called the mystical lens.
Yeah.
And you are this
You're the
aspect.
lens.
You are the lens.
Yeah.
And that, what you are is...
if we're the lens, the light that shines through us, the prism that's created, that's your relationship with the divine.
It is the divine.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the rainbow. It's a rainbow.
It is a rainbow. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Well, we don't have time because my family's here, but I mean, I think the arc of any transformative story, spiritual transformation, sexual understand, whatever it is, it's the same story over and over.
Oh my God.
It's over
We
and
think
over.
about this. I mean, in X-Men, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse are actually manifest. Like Apocalypse, the X-Men villain, has 4 horsemen. Why? Because writers know religious iconography is so ingrained in us, especially through Western media, that they have to figure out, like, he made Angel the archangel of death for like, it's so there. And that to me is like one of those beautiful moments where I was like, I'm obsessed with this. Why am I obsessed with X-Men and religion at the same time?
Yep.
I mean,
and then I don't know how you feel about Deadpool, Wolverine, but like them holding hands and dying and then coming back. I'm like, it's over and over.
Whoa, I mean,
stop.
The religious implications of like a man who can raise from the dead and what he feels like his duty to have a good life is. That to me is like
Wolverine, you mean?
Wolverine.
Yeah.
And Deadpool to a certain extent.
Yeah. He's sort of Wolverine with gun.
Yeah.
it's not, and that's why I always like Deadpool. I don't have a lot of things that I can be like, I liked it before it was cool.
Yeah.
But I did. I had Deadpool comics.
Yeah,
good.
Yeah,
come on.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I had X-Force.
You're such a fun. I love people who are, to me, like this cobbling of different things.
Yes.
And that is everyone, but sometimes when you really get to meet someone and you go, oh, you have so many interesting things that you like.
Yeah.
What?
You know, it's funny. We talked a lot about homosocial.
Yeah.
And what I took from that, I'm sure it's not the whole thing, is like, it's just precious to spend time bonding, connecting. There was shame, there was fear, but there was just laughing.
Yeah.
This was a beautiful episode.
Thank you.
I hate to wrap it up.
This was a beautiful episode.
This would have been a 3-hour episode for sure.
Thank
but
you
my
for having
family's
me.
here.
Family's here.
We can hug. We're gonna hug. I felt lurch forward for a hug.
I'm gonna hug you.
We're gonna do it.
Yeah, it's happening.
We could have talked about personal training. I'm over here. I'm like, I need some tips, some acting tips.
The personal training is it's fun, but it is like it's a tough gig. It's a tough gig.
Do you still do it?
No, I don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I did my first Tonight Show appearance, and literally the next day I showed up to the gym to train my clients, and someone was like, but you did the TV. And I was like, do you think I'm going to live the rest of my life in New York off of that $1,400? I said, I'm about to make $800 from y'all today. Give me my money. I got 3 sessions.
That's a bit.
I got 4 sessions. Like,
That's
it was
a bit.
What's true?
Yeah.
People go, I saw you on TV. I go, and?
Yeah.
Okay, you saw Dua Lipa up there too. You think we make the same amount?
Well, you'll come back.
Yes, I'll come back.
You'll come back and we'll plug whatever you got up top.
Yeah.
Would you say keep it crispy? Well, we've been talking about everything we've been talking about is crisp.
Keep it crispy.
There it is. You didn't
Keep it
need any more.
crispy.
There it is. Jean Marco in a Speedo. We're out. Thanks, man.
You made it weird. You made it weird. You made it weird. Oh, yeah.